welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast. It's episode 53, and episode, 6 months in the making, I believe? Yes, we'll go with that number.
Holy shit.
You guys had 6
53?
months for this?
Kinda.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yes, we picked the topic from way back.
Which is why I didn't remember anything of what I was supposed to do.
Kevin, you had one game to play. Chill.
Yeah, Borderlands 3. That's what we're talking about.
You'll get to talk about it soon enough. This is the Final Fantasy cast. Very excited for this one. I think we're all at least aware of what a Final Fantasy game is.
You should break it down for us.
So Final Fantasy is an RPG series made by Square. There we go. That's it.
Wow.
That's the whole backstory.
I learned something today. Is there combat?
That's debatable.
Is there story?
That's also debatable.
Is there podcast?
Are there
Well, it
furries?
depends on the game.
Yeah. So
That
there's
is also-
a lot of us on this podcast. We got a full house. Basically, every host is here, including
Yay!
a super returning host, the OG.
You're welcome. Yes, I am here. I know.
Well,
Sorry,
I mean, you
guys.
are an OG.
Yeah. The original guest, yes.
Josh,
Yeah.
you're here. Not a cardboard cutout.
Not this time. I finally was able to make it out.
I'm super pissed on that cardboard cutout.
That's fine. I wouldn't have expected anything else.
This is your return party.
Yeah, I mean, and what better way to come back than with the series that I tried to quest on YouTube and utterly failed.
You got like 6 games in?
Something like that. I got a good amount, but I also played them off stream because I didn't have time to stream and stuff. But I had a little time here and there to play some games every so often.
Good to have you back. We all missed you.
Thanks, man. I missed being out.
Please don't speak for me.
I knew that, so I kind of just exclude you whenever that comes up.
That's okay.
Nice.
Most people do when it comes to Connecticut.
That's true.
I didn't know. Okay, just really quickly, I didn't know Connecticut had that C. I didn't know it was spelled like Connecticut.
So for the longest on it, don't worry.
So for the longest time, I was reading that like, what the fuck is a Connecticut? And I was like, oh wait, that's just what it's called. Okay, weird.
It's understandable. Absolutely understandable.
We also try to forget things about the state all the time.
That's fair.
Yeah, I kind of forget it exists.
It's pretty bad. Don't get me wrong.
wait, America?
Well, like the thing in movies where you're like, whoa, there's some rich girl from Connecticut. It's like the protagonist of the story.
Yeah,
That's like 2 towns.
fair enough.
The other ones are all like heroin and woods.
They're actually from Rhode Island.
They would be much better off in Rhode Island. I will not disagree.
So it's myself, Josh, Kevin, Colin, and Joey.
Hello.
We're all here. We each played one Final Fantasy game to talk about. I played 2 because I'm crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I played a little of everything.
I tried to play a little bit of everything to get a nice little comparison going. But let's get
feel
this going. We got a lot to talk about. What have we been playing? Joey, you go first.
I've been playing Final Fantasy 11.
Well, I guess we
usually
transitioned.
Playing lately. And also Classic WoW.
Okay,
But
Classic WoW. How's that
trying to
going,
get
by the
Final
way?
Fantasy 11 the past week. Pretty good. I have 2 characters in the 20s because, I like to play low levels and not too much of the higher ones.
Mm.
What is your class that you started with these 2 characters?
I have a level 24 Rogue and a level 20 Warlock.
Who do you like more, the Rogue or the Warlock?
The Warlock's more fun, so I've been focusing on that one.
What makes them more fun?
I don't know. I don't die as much as I did with the Rogue, and I don't.
Demons.
I can actually, yeah. The demons. They have a lot of good solo quests every 10 levels just to get the next thing you can summon. So I like that aspect of it. Actually, have some storyline built in instead of, hey Rogue, go kill this other Rogue because we don't like him anymore.
Do you need story in games? What?
It adds to it, just a little bit,
A wee bit.
just a wee bit.
Colin, you're here. What have you been playing? How are you, by the way?
Not too bad. What's so funny?
No, sorry, I just wasn't expecting that.
That's generally how I start off a lot of my long speeches.
I wasn't expecting it.
I'm a true Canadian when I say eh.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I've been okay. Work has been busy for a bit, but it seems to have calmed down a little bit. But I've been playing a few games here and there other than the cast, but mostly been dedicating to the cast games. I've been playing more Odin Sphere Life Thrasher.
Have to really emphasize the Life Thrasher.
I can't.
Otherwise, you're not actually playing it.
Lufthansa?
But that's also acceptable. But now you've changed the
That's
word.
also sexy. Nice.
Yeah, I've finished the Pretty Little Tinkerbell Fairy Queen storyline, and now I must play the story of the tormented, black-armored knight with the cursed sword who constantly has the Halyas, which are the Norse equivalent of the Grim Reaper, constantly after his soul.
Sounds like
Guts
a
from
D&D
Berserk.
quest.
Think Guts from Berserk as a pretty boy teenager.
The sexy version, as Kevin said. Well, I've been dedicating a lot of my time to the two games that I'm going to be talking about later for this podcast. But I also, on the PlayStation September sale, or it was a flash sale, it was one of the two. They're both going on right now simultaneously.
Whoa. Too many deals.
I got a new PSVR game. It's called Table of Tales: The Crooked Crown. And
Nice.
what it is it's a VR tabletop game. Right? What makes it interesting in VR and how it goes is basically as you're playing the table, the environment changes in real time based on what kind of moves you're doing in the game. It's pretty cool. There's different classes, and it's almost like a mini 3D Warhammer, I guess. No, that's probably not the right comparison. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I had no idea what it was, but it was really cheap and got good reviews. So I said, why not? I want a new VR game, and it did not disappoint. It's really unique from the other VR games I have. So I do recommend it if you're a VR owner.
Cool.
That means buying VR, though.
I wish I had VR.
It's just so much money.
Yeah, man.
Josh,
Buy me a VR.
have you been able to play video games lately?
Lately, yeah. Kind of been busy. The last, through the winter time, last 2 years, I've been staying busy with school and work. So I haven't had too much time to play video games up until lately. But lately, I've been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena, World of Warcraft Classic, all the good stuff. Hearthstone. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of more, getting more into card games actually. Weirdly enough, but not like the Elder Scrolls. They have a card game, and there's a Final Fantasy card game. I don't get into those silly games. I only get into the real man's card games.
Have you played Slay the Spire?
I have Slay the Spire on Steam. I haven't played it yet. I think I watched a guy on YouTube named Magikarp Used Flyer or whatever play it. It looked really interesting. I think I have it on Steam. I can't remember.
It's one of the better games of. It's a card-based battle game with with roguelike or not elements. It is a roguelike, but the battling is done through card collecting.
Right. Yeah, I do have that game. I haven't played it yet, but I do have it in my library.
Yeah, it's one of the better games of 2019.
Right. Oh, actually, I just got into this one game. It's called Crowfall. It's pre-alpha. Yeah, it's pre-alpha right now, so it's really rough. But it's basically it's like Game of Thrones, but also an RPG. So the way they kind of
one could argue Game of Thrones is an RPG.
Well, I mean, so I suppose. But they kind of sell it as an RPG you can actually win, like an MMO you can win. They have these worlds that have different political goals that each, because there's 3 different factions you can join, and they each got a political goal, like gather all the resources or take control of the whole map and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Crowfall.
It's if you want a really in-depth game to play, even people who have maybe played Eve, something kind of like that, or similar to a game like that, you might like Crowfall. It's really interesting. I got it for $40 pre-alpha, and even when it goes to let's say when it finally comes out, even subscription based, if you back it now, which is kind of the risk you take, is you got to be a backer for it.
Mm-hmm.
That it kind of sucks, and I'm kind of worried about that. But I'm enjoying it so far. So all I know is my $40 has been well spent so far. But you get play for free for life. So even if it goes, say, sub-based, when it finally full releases, I get to play for free for however long it stays out.
Oh.
Ooh.
Crofall?
Yes.
CROW?
Or CROW, yeah.
Okay.
Crowfall, yeah.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, folks. Go buy the game now, and you play for life, free.
Yeah,
free for life. Words. Kevin, you're here.
Hi.
Like, subscribe, and obey, naturally, of course.
Like, follow, and obey. Yes. Borderlands 3, greatest game of all time. 10 out of 10. Actually, I'm still debating whether I like 2 better than it, because like the UI in 3 is like just different enough to be annoying.
How
like,
so?
Like comparing weapons isn't as easy, but like that's really my only complaint about the game. Other than that, it's a fucking addiction. I need help. I would do anything to play this right now. Literally right now. Assignments for the cast, ignore them. Fuck them. Borderlands time. That's all it is. I've been playing.
This has been the Red Leaf Retrocast.
Yep, we're done here, actually. No, I won't dwell too long. I'm like level 23 in it. I thought I was almost done with the game because they're talking about finding the vault already, which is like the big thing in Borderlands to do. Sure. Turns out there's way more than one vault now. So
I thought they already established that in Borderlands.
Isn't there supposed to be like 3 planets you go to?
Yeah, there are, but I just was like, I just wasn't ready. I was like, whoa, we found the vault already. Okay, cool. Oh, we're not done. So that's fun. Claptrap, still best character of all time. What else do I want to say about it without like?
Isn't Claptrap that robot?
He's the greatest.
Yeah, he's like the robot you meet in the first Borderlands, right?
Who is your Lord and Commander?
That's why I like to play as in the prequels.
Oh? I haven't played the first one.
Yeah,
I only played the first Borderlands for like 10 minutes. So
you can totally skip the first one because it's more of like a tech demo for 2.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I want to do anything. All right. So normally in RPGs, you get a skill tree, right? And you pick it like you pick 3 skill trees, and you like, all right, I like this one. I'm gonna run down this one and up my character that way. I guess in Borderlands 3 they expect you to like use all the skill trees. So I like totally did my character wrong at first. So I had like one tree I hated or ultimate, and then my friend was watching me stream. He's like, "No, you can go respec it, and you can put things in every tree." And now I'm an unstoppable force.
Well, that's good.
So,
does that make the game too easy?
No, it's still like perfectly challenging. It's just like I have some health regen now. Like my ultimate isn't like my original ultimate was just like I grab you in the air and there's like one enemy at a time. It's just like, all right, they're suspended in air, shoot them, I guess. I'm like, well, that's not really useful for like bosses. Right. You can change it, and then I have all these different things. And then the other thing I want to talk about is it's called Little Battlers Experience on 3DS, which probably. Battlers. Apparently, it was like one of those 4Kids like shitty WB animes, but like I didn't know that when I played this game. Think of it as like Metabots, I guess, or like
nice.
It's actually pretty fun. It's like you have a little in the world of shitty WB anime, like all your life's problems can be solved by either A, card games, B, animals fighting each other, or 3, little tiny robots that you use to solve all your world disputes, obviously. Like,
you're forgetting 2 major things: the power of heart and friendship.
Oh, that's in this game. Don't you worry.
Without power of heart and friendship, you have no hope.
And the fact that my grandpa's card doesn't have, or my grandpa's deck doesn't have any useless cards.
It's impossible, Yugi boy. But like, it's just, I don't know. It's that trope of like, somebody stole my brother's bike. Oh, if we fight our little robots that are about a 1/4 inch tall against each other, that'll determine justice. And then like you beat him, and then like they're so physically devastated that they lost a tiny robot toy fight. They're like, but like, I don't know. It's a fun little game. Like it's a little 3D like action brawler with robots. It's like $5 on 3DS. Honestly, everyone should try it. I'm only like 3 hours in. Little Battlers Experience, LBX. Look that up.
Oh, Little Battler Experience.
Yes, X is cool. So we don't call it LBE because we call it LBX because X is a cool letter. All the cool kids use it.
I mean, that's just fact.
Right. So, and obviously this world's economy is run by the fact that these little toy robots, oh, there's a nuclear war. Better have our world leaders fight little robots,
You heard it first, folks.
In ancient times, they actually used to do that sort of thing with chess matches.
I wish that was still a thing.
Well, that would require your leaders to actually be smart.
Yeah, but we have a meme. Who needs a smart leader when we have a meme?
We have a meme too. Our prime minister was a high school teacher.
Whoa.
Well, that clearly wasn't enough education.
Iron drama teacher. He was just in costume, okay?
It's like Randy
Our
Pitchford.
leader has a high
She
school
was a
education,
magician.
maybe.
Maybe.
Oh boy.
Nice.
Probably paid for it. Anyways, let me play the drop, and then Kevin can keep sprecking.
I still got.
Yeah, Colin's got those.
Hey, I wanted to quickly mention I started a run of Just Cause 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, but the camera's a real chore to control when you're parachuting and grappling, because that's part of the mechanics. You got a grappling hook on one hand, and then you have an infinite number of parachutes. Basically, you hook onto something and start grappling towards it, and then you can activate your parachute and start floating forward really fast. But the map is also absolutely massive, so getting between missions, even with a car, takes a long time. So your best bet is to either hijack or buy a plane.
That's another game I never actually got to play either, is the Just Cause series, but it looked super fun.
Yeah.
Just play Just Cause 2.
It's basically blowing shit up the game.
Yeah, they've literally done nothing with it since 2.
Yeah, but it's pretty.
Yeah, it's not quite Bulletstorm fun, but it's still fun.
Ah, good reference.
Kevin. Hi.
Kevin.
What?
Connecticut Kevin.
Hi. It's not my name.
I have first question.
Yes.
You're having way too much fun in the Twitch chat with your little tiny pictures.
Let me have my Brock Lesnar emotes, okay?
It's really distracting and making me laugh. Why do you have to be so funny?
Because I'm the person that I am.
All right. You went to Retro World Expo, the thing that Joey, don't you do it.
What are you talking about?
Colin and I went with you to Retro World Expo last year. You went by yourself this year. How was it?
It was awesome, and I didn't think I was going to go till literally last minute. So we should have planned better. Also, I should have planned. This month has been hectic all around. But it was fun. I actually brought a buddy there who's a big PC gamer, and I had thought he would have like zero interest in looking at old games, but he actually had a lot of fun. I met my number one fan on Twitch, One of John. He was there. We were pals now. We're IRL friends now. Ooh, right? No, there was a lot of
IRL Twitch chat.
Just chatting, ASMR. We went to the free play section. There were like a lot of weird, it was a weird choice of free play games. There was a lot of I saw Guacamelee there, which is that's not something you just pick up and play. You have to sit down and play that. There were a lot of I wanted to enter. There was a N64 wrestling game tournament, and they had a title belt you could have won.
What's funny? That was actually when I went to the wrestling show at the beach last Sunday.
Yep.
We saw.
Oh yeah. They actually announced that you should go to Retro World Expo. There's going to be a wrestling tournament from the N64. I was like, and you win an actual title.
I wanted to win it, but I had to be there today to do it, and I can't. I don't know if I can do a gaming expo 2 days in a row. I've seen it all, so it's what am I going to come back for?
That's true.
I can meet some famous YouTubers anyway.
You might be Markiplier.
Whoa, he wasn't there. Don't worry. They had WCW NWO Revenge, which I wanted to play because I know a glitch in that game that literally means you can't lose. But I don't know if
spear everybody
does
with Goldberg.
No, it's if you're getting pinned.
If you powerbomb with Scott Norton, I think that's the glitch.
The glitch is also just hit the analog stick when you're getting pinned, and you'll kick out.
Oh well,
it's that easy. So I can't I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people know that glitch, but then the thing would never end. So yeah, there was that. I saw a lot of pinball machines. One I broke.
What was it called?
Tilt.
It was called Getaway, and it wasn't. I didn't break it. So there were 3 little targets you had to hit, and one target bent over to the side. But if you shot the ball right between the other two, it would just lay in a track, and then the ball was just stuck there. So, and then everyone was, my friends were like, "Oh, look what you did, you broke." So that kid, one of John we were with, also played, and then he did the same thing, and it wasn't so funny anymore. So there. A lot of cool pinball machines, a lot of free play arcades. I learned I'm not good at Killer Instinct on an arcade stick at all.
No,
but there's a lot of a lot of stuff to buy. I didn't buy as much as I did last year because last year I was like, but there's a lot of stuff. I kind of kept it selective this year. A couple things on my want list, but I didn't really go too crazy. I got a cool Doom sticker that's on my laptop now, though.
Hell yeah!
I know she didn't message me about finding Silent Bomber, so
wasn't there. Don't worry.
Very sad.
I would have let you know. My buddy was looking for Valkyrie profile on PS1 as well. Yeah, good luck, right? Yeah.
You're better off getting a PSP and the PSP version of the game.
Yeah. The most outrageous thing I saw, which, well, I guess I thought it was outrageous, but it turned out not being, is Mega Man 5 on Game Boy, which I know is expensive, but I didn't know it was like $1,000 complete in box expensive.
Oh,
jeez.
Yeah, I didn't think it got that much. But my thing is, all these expos, everyone obviously is top of the line pricing because it's an expo. But I see bargain bins, and people are like, "Oh, used and abused games." I was like, "Hell yeah, half off, let's go." So
nice.
I'll buy a shitty condition game if it means it's cheaper. If it works, I'm in. And the other only two notable things I wanted to mention is that I got 2 Pokemon ROM hacks that were actually in a cartridge.
Drunk Pokemon.
No, Pokemon Flora Sky, and one is Light Platinum. So I'll probably end up playing those with my buddy. I don't know if I'll Nuzlocke them because I kind of want to see the whole thing of them and what they're about. But Nuzlocks do add a sense of tension. So,
Joey, you know what Nuzlocke is, right?
Nope.
Okay. Kevin,
Ooh.
for the audience, what is Nuzlocke?
Essentially, it's permadeath Pokemon. So if your Pokemon faints, you have to release it. If what else do you have to do? When you go into an area, the first Pokemon you see is the only one you're allowed to catch. So you have to either catch it. If it runs away, if you kill it, you can't catch any more Pokemon in that area. It's done. So you're kind of playing like ultra hard mode.
We what Alec and I did on our channel is what we would do is if we ran into a new zone and we ran into a Pokemon we already had, we'd have like a one more chance to catch a different Pokemon.
Boo!
Makes it a little bit more fun. I like it.
It just makes it more lottery.
Yeah, I like to do randomizers when I take a ROM hack and I actually play that way.
Get like What? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was Retro World. It was cool. I didn't sit on any panel because I don't really care for famous YouTubers' thoughts on things.
You don't care about the YouTubers' thoughts over microtransactions?
No, I mean I watch some of these guys, but like I don't really sit and just listen. I'm here for the expo, you know. I watch your videos later.
I'm of the same mind.
Yeah, I don't really like. I don't fangirl over YouTubers. Like I saw the Game Chasers there. I was like, hey, that's it. Square Painter was there. I don't know if anyone knows Square Painter.
No.
Game Dave was there. Yeah, I don't know. They were there. Famous people, I guess.
Was it better than last year or the same?
Yeah, about the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, cool. there was a furry booth, and man, did I just cringe real hard at that. They were selling like the tails and there's like, suits you can buy. Yeah, that's why I didn't invite you.
Buy a suit? So,
yeah, I know you want to. That's why you're not invited.
I want to be a nice little white rabbit.
That I would immediately quit this podcast.
Would it have the blinking eyes too?
I don't want to know. I'm going to be honest with you.
If the answer was yes, I'd quit the podcast too.
So, hold up, guys. Give me 1 second. Go on to the next thing.
Okay.
I got a call.
Did anyone else but me watch the PlayStation September State of Play?
I did not.
I don't think so. I've been too busy with the cast games and work.
So, just to run down what happened. The big news right off the bat we have to talk about is Last of Us Part 2 was the big reveal. It got a release date February 21st, I believe.
I remember you mentioning something about it.
Yeah, it's huge news for PlayStation itself, and I'm trying to pull up the PlayStation article right now over all the other things that were covered. But did everyone play the first Last of Us?
Yes,
No, I didn't.
No.
but although I didn't play any of the DLC.
Oh wait, I watched you play Last of Us on your channel.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the few games I completed.
Yeah, I watched you play that one, and that was actually the one where you called my channel out, and I was like, "Oh, that's me!" You know, that gambling town just north of Detroit.
True.
All right.
Oh god.
Yeah, so February 21st,
Hold up,
2020.
1 second.
Last of Us Part 2. What, Kevin? What?
I gotta help somebody start a lawnmower. I'll be right back. So continue on without me for a second.
That's fine. We've got plenty of time.
Good.
That is a very random must need to leave the podcast. That sounds like my
I gotta
mom's
start
excuse.
a lawnmower too. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Joey, do you have to start a weed whacker or something?
No, I don't need to start any of that.
All right, good. I don't have lawn maintenance either, so.
I think I heard the dishes that need to be done, so just give me a minute. I'll do that real quick.
So, for those wondering, Last of Us is a zombie apocalypse type game with, I guess, plant-like creatures.
It's more like fungus.
Fungus, yeah. You get infected by bites, just like zombies, or the kind of pollen type stuff that they
The spores.
the spores
Totally
that they release
not
in
the
the
flood.
Totally not. Better than the flood, if you will.
Well, it's based on a real type of fungus that can actually infect the brains of like insects and such.
Yeah.
It's just in this game, it's mutated to be able to infect human brains too.
Ooh,
So yeah, that makes it extra scary.
Super scary.
I like scary.
So this game focuses on Ellie this time. You get a little backstory on her, and the big trailer revealed that Joel is going to return to the game, as was everyone's hope. And the game just looks fantastic. Not much else to say about it. The more controversial news is, of course, where would controversy be without Activision? Call of Duty Modern Warfare is releasing soon, and it has an exclusive mode with PlayStation.
Of course. And I like that.
Yeah, it's a year long, so pretty much it's only for the PlayStation because they're probably going to come out with another game before this becomes unexclusive.
Exactly. So by the time it's unexclusive, the next one's already come out and people have moved on.
Yeah.
So not a lot of Call of Duty fans are happy at all because a lot of them, let's face it, play on Xbox and PC.
Let's be honest here. Are Call of Duty fans ever really happy to begin with?
Well, you know what, Josh?
I mean, they're playing Call of Duty. Do you really think they're happy?
They're actually sad inside, and they just need to kill some people online.
Jesus.
Sad enough
They get
that
happy
they
when
called the
mobbing.
SWAT team on the people who beat them.
Gee, yeah, honestly.
Actually did happen, didn't it?
It used to be
It's happened
bad.
several times, and
It
at
was
one
like a-
point, a guy actually got killed.
Yeah. It used to be a
It's called
huge
SWAT.
thing a few years ago. It was going wild.
And it still happens from time to time.
Wow. That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah. So, as a PlayStation fanboy, that's just a poor move. I mean, it's smart. I would argue it's smart business from PlayStation to, like, this is a crazy, bold move to get everyone to buy the hottest game in the world, arguably every year. You get it on your system. The major negative I only see, though, is this will only encourage more console-exclusive modes and whatnot going forward. It wouldn't just hit this game. You guys get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was watching some guy talk about this, and I think he hit the nail on the head with saying he'd rather not have the game for a year than only have partial part of the game.
Right.
Like it's just annoying knowing that someone else on a different platform has everything. You have to sit there and be like, but I want that mode.
Play that mode. Death Stranding is getting a limited edition PS4 Pro bundle.
Of course.
It looks really cool though. It's white and black. It has the little black footprints on it. It has a bridge baby controller, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just for the aesthetics part, if people are fans of that, it looks just sick, awesome. It's white and black, white case with the black middle. Got Death Stranding on it. I've been really into the big unique console looks and limited editions that come out. I have the Uncharted 4 one myself. Let's see. Just real quick here, just run down the games. More gameplay over Medieval. The remake's coming out. They announced Civ 6 coming out. Watam, which is like a Katamari thing that's coming out. It looks very bizarre, very Japanese. Everyone familiar with Katamari?
Familiar with it. Have not played it.
I'm not I mean, I think I know the game, but I'm not 100% certain.
It's the one where you're like a little cardboard creature rolling around a ball and sucking things up.
Oh, that game.
Oh, yeah. It's the really silly looking one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually like those games.
Yeah, they're goofy fun.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. They started off the state of play with a really strange game called Humanity. It's coming in 2020. It has optional PSVR support. It just looks like it's a puzzle game with like Lemmings type mechanics to it. I don't know how else to describe it. It's very strange. You'll know what I mean if you look at the video. And then same day drop was LA Noire, the VR case file, so you can play the whole game rebuilt specifically for VR, and it's at a budget price of $30. Yeah, it's I need to get this immediately, but as usual with how I buy VR games, I always wait till a sale for them. So sale eventually.
That's about as much as I think. It's about as much as I spent for the Final Fantasy VIII remaster.
Are you a fan?
Well, I mean, I'll say it now, especially because it's the topic for the day. But Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite one. So,
Josh, I think I know why we're friends.
we've solidified this over Birkenponken.
Birkenponken, very important. So that was state of play. It was, besides the Last of Us 2 reveal, which was a big point, I was more or less disappointed with how they decided to focus on the games. It was very indie-based, which I'm always for, but it was just a trailer for the game rather than, some sort of trying to sell you the game situation. I wasn't sold on anything. That was my major takeaway. It was entertaining, I guess.
To be honest, I didn't even know that was a thing. The state of play.
Yeah, it's PlayStation's version of a Nintendo Direct, but not executed as well as what a Nintendo Direct does.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I had a couple coworkers that were disappointed with it.
All right. So not much for topic, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Final Fantasy games to talk about, and for those wondering, we have already covered Final Fantasy 1, 3, and 7 on a past podcast, so we will not be discussing those 3 particular Final Fantasy games. But at the end of this, we will have covered 9 Final Fantasy games to date on the podcast.
Look at us go.
Hot damn.
So here we go. Playing the drop, and we can get on with this thing. All right. So I felt there was a time, Josh, you're familiar with this. Before I beat Final Fantasy VII for the podcast, I had never completed a Final Fantasy game prior to that in my life, despite having like all of them.
Right.
I always play to like a certain point in every single one, and even though I enjoy them, just for some reason, something else comes up or another. In Final Fantasy VIII's case, I get a game-breaking bug or file deleted. There's always something.
For me, it's usually I'll put it down for a bit, and then I'll come back. It's like, I don't remember where I am. I'm just going to start over.
Ports.
Yeah, it's always something along those lines as well. You get so wrapped up in another game or life gets in the way, something.
Borderlands, right?
Right. In Kevin's case, it's Borderlands 3. By the way, like, subscribe, follow, and obey, of course.
As you should.
As you should. Bradley Retrocast, at BowlingJD, and everyone else on Twitter. Linktree in the description below. So, this was kind of a podcast near and dear to my heart for trying to get into not just the Final Fantasy games I feel were the most egregious that I've just never delved into before or played as much as I should have. It's also kind of a love of the series itself and why this game has 15 mainstay games still going to this day from its original release.
We're not counting 13.
I mean, I can count 13.
Well, realistically, you shouldn't count 11 or 14.
Whoa.
Only
Spoiler.
because they're online games. They're not, they don't, have one storyline.
It's true. Or it's
Yeah.
13 3 games.
13
Whoa.
has 3. 13 has
Whoa.
13,
Has
13 2, and Lightning Returns.
Whoa.
There's
Technically,
Final Fantasy 10
and-
10.
And yes, sorry, Colin, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
It's all good.
Also, 4's got 2 games as well.
It does?
Yeah.
Does.
What?
It happens after everything. This is spoilers. I won't spoil it too much. It happens after things happen with Golbez near the end of the first Final Fantasy IV.
Is it like a separate release?
Yes. I don't remember what the name is, but there's a second Final Fantasy IV.
Think of it as kind of the Dirge of Cerberus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Great.
it's an extension of the story. It's
Yeah.
interesting, but it's not
Not as
not
good.
Final Fantasy IV.
Yes,
Interesting.
Dirge of Cerberus, the greatest of all Final Fantasy media.
Yes.
Right out there with Advent Children.
Yeah.
Hey, Advent Children is awesome. You take that back.
Fight me.
What was that mobile Final Fantasy game that was like a money-hungry microtransaction?
Brave Exvius, I think.
Hell yeah. Greatest Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that was so fun.
I had like 3 whole minutes of fun.
So besides making fun of the MMOs and some of the negatives, what is everyone's favorite aspect of just the Final Fantasy series in general, and then we can get on with our games? Just, Colin, why don't you start first? Then I'll just call out everybody.
Call me out, brother.
I mostly like the gameplay. It's fairly solid. It keeps improving with each new game, although personally I feel it peaked with 10.
I agree
And
with that.
the stories can be story and characters. Well, in some cases it's not so great, but in others, in the most well-known ones, it's one of people's favorite parts of it. We'll get into that with a couple of our entries.
Sure. Kevin, go next.
Hey. It's in a world where turn-based like RPGs aren't really common anymore. I always like Final Fantasy to come back and just be a basic, for the most part, basic ass turn-based RPG. Like it's just stays to the core, at least up to like 10. Doesn't really get too crazy. It tries little things with like job systems here and there to like switch it up a little bit, but I just like the fact that it's just the turn-based combat that I want without trying to overdo itself until 10. Until I guess technically 11, but up to 10.
Joey, why don't you go next?
I mean, not really a fan of the series, to be honest.
You bastard.
I
They're
don't really
off the
get into
cast.
them. I don't know. I tried playing a few of them, but I did like the tower defense and malls that were in Warcraft 3 that were designed around it. But I mean, I could never really get into the series.
Fair enough.
Interesting.
Man, it's not for
Josh.
everyone.
You've played around a couple of these, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've been around the block many times. I like the character development that every game kind of goes through. In particular, I like the more lighthearted characters. How you usually start off lighthearted, and everyone thinks they're more happy-go-lucky, or usually just kind of not with everything that's going on in the world. Like they seem to not nonsensical, but they seem to, I guess, maybe whimsical about everything. And then they turn into like a more serious character, and they usually go through a character or a personality breaking moment that happens later on in the games, and just how you see certain characters get through those situations. I really enjoy seeing characters develop that way, and also how Kevin said the turn based, and how Colin said the stories in most of the games are usually really, really well done. So
the aspect I like about Final Fantasy the most is the fact that each game feels individual from each other. You don't get the repeat story, you don't get repeat characters. They try to differentiate each game from each other so that when the next one comes out, you're that much more excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't expect 15 to be the third entry of the Final Fantasy VII series. If they do that, right, they make sure to tell you that, yeah, this is a spin-off or a continuation of this particular Final Fantasy game, like we discussed with, or at least mentioned with what they did with 10 and 10-2, 13, Lightning Returns. There will be another one coming out in time, and you're not just going to get more of what you got in the previous generation or the previous entry. They always try to improve or differentiate to such a degree that it feels even vastly more new than the one before it.
Right.
Something the Dragon Quest series, I think, could use. Tales of 1,000%.
Oh, well.
Don't you dare talk shit about the Tales series.
The Tales series
I am talking shit about it because they haven't done shit with it since, what, the first one?
Don't fix what ain't broke.
Exactly. I mean, I give props to Square for, always trying to fix the formula when it comes to their games, but sometimes it's more harm than good, and sometimes they hit the, they hit the button and it works, but a lot of people, well, at least with a lot of people that I know that played Final Fantasy, they're like the more old school style, and it's like Kevin said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Nothing wrong with innovation, but
and then they broke it at 11.
Well, I mean,
well, they did something
11,
different.
11 and like I said, 11 and 14 are their own entities. They went to 12, they went to 12, and 12 was kind of okay because it was still they had that ATB, which is now really popular in the series, but then 13 was kind of
auto battle.
Yeah, it was kind of auto battler, and I'll just say this now.
Ahead of its time, you might say.
No.
Final Fantasy 13, I find itself as a fantastic game. I actually really enjoyed playing every minute of it, but I feel the problem that the game had was it had to try to stand up to the Final Fantasy hype. And one of the things I've always said with other people who've played Final Fantasy 13 was, if it was called anything else other than Final Fantasy, it would have been like a fantastic game.
Super disagree.
It would. You think so?
Yeah, that game was just boring. Like every Final Fantasy stands on its own, but I was just like, what am I doing in this? I'm walking down a hallway. The game is playing itself.
Fair enough, right? Like I said a few times, each their own, right? And
yeah,
I won't say that it's the best. By all means, it's definitely not one of my favorites. It is a good game, but I honestly think that if it was anything other than a different title for other than Final Fantasy, it would have been received a lot differently.
Yeah, but the name Final Fantasy is so loose, like, because they're just all so different. They're barely related in any way.
Right.
So
that's
I kind of look at the. Yeah.
All right. So our first game is we're gonna go through my 2 picks, and then everyone will go through their pick. I played first Final Fantasy VI. Came out on the Super Nintendo, eventually the PlayStation, and the Anthology series. The Game Boy Advance usually goes for about $10, $30 on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
And by the way, all these games are developed and published by Square, Squaresoft, Square Enix, whatever iteration they were at the time. So don't have to. Square Circle. The original game was released on April 2nd, 1994, a year after my brother's birthday.
Yay.
It was a few months after I was born.
Woo!
Ooh.
You guys are old.
This game is one of the, I would say, shorter Final Fantasy games. It clocks in around 35 and a half hours, all depending on side quests, of course. I played, and this is what I'm going to say. I played up to a certain point in both my picks. Final Fantasy VI is split into two worlds: the world of balance and the world of ruin. I never got to the world of ruin; didn't have that kind of time. But I did play a good chunk of the world of balance, the very first half of the game. And what made this one stand out to me so much is after I had played a little bit of 4 and 5, having already played 1, 2, and 3 briefly, just long ago, it was still kind of fresh in my head. 4 and 5 was... I don't want to say too much about them, but it's more of that medieval setting. And what shocked me immediately was Final Fantasy VI has this kind of turn of the industrial age setting to it.
Steampunk, if you will.
Steampunk, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Good old Magitech.
And as it turns out, Final Fantasy VI is regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. And among Final Fantasy fans, it's always that argued game that this is the one better than 7 situation. So I've only ever played like the first hour of 6, and something always happened. And it even happened during this podcast, while I was getting ready for the podcast. I played the first hour, and then things came up, and I had to start the game over again.
6 is tough to start. 6, even 5 is a tough. They're pretty tough starts, but they have really great characters and they have really great story that the games are popular for. But I also haven't played enough of 6 to get into the debate if it's better than 7 or not. So
It is, don't worry.
I personally think 9 is better than 7, but
We'll get there.
we'll get there.
So Final Fantasy VI begins in a way that I immediately was drawn into. You're actually playing as the bad guys, this dystopian empire, if you will. And you're these guys, Wedge and Biggs, and they're in these mechs.
Was it Wedge or was it Biggs or was it Vix?
Biggs.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, when I played it, I think it was spelled Vix, but I think it was meant to be Biggs.
Usually it's Biggs and Wedge.
Oh,
yeah.
I was playing off the PlayStation Anthology disc.
I was gonna say they might have changed it over time.
I was playing the original SNES version.
Okay.
Or SNES.
They can't even count that one right.
Yeah, it came out as 3 in the West.
Yeah. So you're these two dudes in mechs, and accompanying them is this mystery girl who's a mage, or she has the ability of magic, and they through the story text, they tell that magic has disappeared from the world, and this empire wants to kind of revive this ancient power that more or less destroyed the world, right? And in magic being gone and absent, they've gone into an industrial age. So it all kind of ties together. And you immediately, you're these 3 people in the mechs, and you go through the town because in a mine in this town, they've discovered a lost Esper, and she's been encased in ice. They want to use the Esper for their empire and world domination, and etc., etc. So eventually they, after killing lots of townspeople, they encounter the Esper, and the Esper makes Wedge and Biggs disappear, and basically gets rid of the slave crown that the girl has, because she's under their control. And
Kafka.
Right. And that's when so who finds her is a part of this rebel army called the Drifters, the Returners?
Yeah.
The Returners, and they want to use her power, but give her the freedom to make her own choice. So they kind of like show her their way. And then this is where Final Fantasy VI totally grabbed me. So as you said, Josh, that it took a little bit to get into. It was very story heavy. It was all linear. And the linear quest does continue for this first half of the game. I had to look up like what the World of Ruin's going to be, and that's when it becomes this open world, side quest driven place. So, which was interesting because Final Fantasy 15 was the opposite, right?
Oh my god! Don't even get me started.
where the first half was this open world, and then you get to the second half, it was linear to finish off the story. So you can kind of see the tie there.
Just a bunch of bros going on a road trip, bro.
I definitely like the other way around, where you set up the story through the forced interaction, and you get all the character backgrounds, and then it opens up for you to explore the game. So that's definitely a major thing in Final Fantasy 15 that was opened up through playing this one, and this is way better, the way this was handled.
What I think 6 did better was they had a better line of characters to drive the story, whereas with 15, you had the 4 guys, and then you had story outside of the game itself that you had to go and find, like in the movies and stuff.
Well, that was money grubbing type tactics.
Yeah, that's why I kind of have a sore spot with 15. But with that point being said, in my opinion, because the characters that 6 does have kind of drives the game a lot better. It wouldn't matter so much that it's linear, but the story and the characters really drive the game forward.
Well, what was utterly fantastic was the stories being told, and it's these characters involved all have their own backstories to get you to know them. They all have their own development. They all matter. Every character in this game is portrayed as a main character. So you'd think that your main character is going to be this magic girl, right? A magical girl. Aha.
Second best summoner in the Final Fantasy universe, in my opinion.
All it's missing is a transformation sequence.
Yeah, right? Well, as it turns out, every character matters, and I just felt very engrossed with all of them, and the story being told was done extremely well. Nothing was really convoluted. Nothing felt trope driven.
Mm-hmm.
And then the biggest thing that was very nice was the gameplay, where it felt like it took the best aspect from 4, the best aspect from 5, put it in this, and that's what we got in Final Fantasy VI. The only downside I've come across in my play was when I got this character Gao.
Oh, yeah?
And what Gao has is, I'm trying to remember the name of the area. It's like the Gelt or something. So Gao has the ability to encounter a monster and then learn their ability. The problem is that there's a billion monsters.
He's a blue mage, that's right.
Yeah, he's a blue mage. So you're essentially grinding with this character to try to learn the best abilities, and you only want like maybe a handful, but he can learn every single one.
And never used him.
Well, that's the thing. It is optional, so it is that. I felt like if I didn't do this, I'd be missing out on something major.
You didn't.
Yeah, blue mages take way too much time, no matter what game it is.
Yeah.
It was very, and then I looked up. There's in the World of Ruin a Colosseum section that's probably the most egregious thing. Luckily, again, it's not mandatory, but you'll miss out on some key items and weapons and whatnot. But apparently, it's auto battled. You just pick a player to go into the Colosseum, and they auto battle through all their host of moves. And at that point in the game, they could have a billion different abilities or magic abilities, and they'll just randomly go through them all. So they would just do the most stupid things in the world just on their own because it's CPU based, right?
Right.
But I didn't get to that part.
So the one thing, I don't know if I'm not jumping ahead too much, but so while Gao sucks and was unimportant while I played it, when I got to the end of that game, you pretty much split your party into 3 groups. So eventually you might end up having to use him. So I had to go back, kind of get him some moves, and then put him in the group that he's supposed to be in. But the end of that game kind of came down. I have 4 of the best guys. So one group is going to have 2 good guys. The other one's going to have another one. And the last group is going to have another one. And I just threw Gao in the group for my 2 best guys so I could avoid costs.
Gotcha.
It was just too confusing. I couldn't be bothered to train him up like that.
It's like monster skills in 7.
Yes.
It's called the Velt, by the way, and that's when you get to Sabin's story. So I can honestly say, Final Fantasy VI did not disappoint. It looks utterly fantastic. Everything apparently runs in Mode 7 when it was on the SNES, as opposed to the past games where the world was more flat. kind of situation. Then it would transition into Mode 7. This one's entirely in Mode 7, so everything looks 3D all the time. So Final Fantasy VI gets a major pass, and I will reveal at the end of the cast whether where it ranks from how much I've played through the other Final Fantasy games. Anyone else got something to say?
Pass too.
Anyone else got something to say over 6?
Well, I remember playing literally about halfway through the game. It was at the point where one of the characters is revealed as some kind of, basically transforms into some kind of godlike being and then starts flying around the world.
Yeah, he goes Super Saiyan.
He's the best one.
He goes Super Saiyan. Oh,
Yeah,
and then just one last thing. Every single character, any character, can learn every ability in the game. So you can, the customization of the gameplay is outstanding. I love it. It's my favorite thing. If you grind, can it be game breaking? Sure, but that's entirely up to you.
That's
pretty much.
You have to put the patience into it.
Yeah. All right. So the second one I played was Final Fantasy X.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
It came out on the PS2. It runs for about $4.
whoa, that must be
Or you can get it on the PS4, the remaster, for about $20 or $30.
Yeah, it's very affordable.
Or you can play it on the Vita like a real hero.
Released North America December 20th, 2001. Europe May 24th, 2002. Japan July 19th, 2001. Clocks in at around 48 hours. I am definitely on pace to break that by a lot.
That's what you think.
Yeah, that's just beating the game. That's not...
Yeah.
You weren't even close.
No. So I've probably played 8 to 12 hours. And the point where I put a stop playing because I feel like it gave me a good chunk to talk about for the podcast was the group of soldiers in the world that are against this big bad enemy called Sin. He's like a giant silver whale glob thing.
What a very ominous name.
Yeah, Sin.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
There's the naming conventions of this I was not okay with mostly.
Subtlety, you know?
So they get all like the world's creatures and they call it Sin Spawn. Yeah, Sin Spawn, and they thought it'd be a good idea to gather them all up. It will attract Sin, and then they could beat it with its. There's one. It's very religious in the game, and then there's another group called, I guess, the Balhad or Balhead or
Albed,
whatever, something or another. They have
Don't disrespect them.
they have mech devices, and that's against the teachings of Yevon, their little religious thing. Mm-hmm. Well. The Sin shows up, and lo and behold, everyone dies.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
The guy named Sin kills every. What?
Yeah, what? Like, so you're immediately just going, this isn't going to work out, guys. But prior to that, it was all linear, heavily cutscene based, dialogue and voice acting that has not aged well at all.
Aged wonderfully.
I guess it's aged so horribly, now it's funny.
I just don't understand how the voice acting could have been so bad. I know it's the first Final Fantasy with voice acting, but it's not the first game to have voice acting in it.
Yeah, that's what made it come across, is just, wait a minute. This was in 2001. There are a lot of games that have had voice acting prior to this.
Well, I mean, Metal Gear had voice acting. That came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
Metal Gear?
There was a lot of the lip flappings moving like in old Godzilla movies where they'd talk and it wouldn't match, or they'd continue beforehand, or...
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts had the same problem.
Kingdom Hearts has a lot of problems, to be fair. Oh, okay.
Hey, now. So
You're off the cast.
Square had a lot of issues with this, clearly. There is the occasional cutscene that looks absolutely fantastic, still on par with today's games.
The budget came out.
Yeah, the budget did come out for that part. And it does this weird... Well, first of all, where would I be without saying the Blitzball in this game sucks ass? I hate it so much. I thank God it was only the one-time mandatory play. Because...
And you don't even have to win.
And
I actually like Blitzball.
Look, Colin. when I found out you don't even have to win, I about lost it. Because I go, what was the fucking
Really?
point of me playing that?
Blitzball sucks.
I like Blitzball. It wasn't the best, don't get me wrong.
I'm saying this right now. Blitzball, every Final Fantasy game has their own little like mini game. In 6, it was with the what are those little creatures? Moogles.
Yeah, I think that the Moogles. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it turned into a turn-based strategy game in a cave at one point. I go, okay, this is kind of fun and interesting, kind of weird. Well, the mini game in Final Fantasy X is Blitzball. It is underwater handball, essentially. And for some reason, people can play
underwater polo. Yeah. Nice.
So you're set up as this. Your main character is this famous Blitzball player, and he's the son of an even better, like best ever Blitzball player. He's a alcoholic father or whatever who's never around. Whatever.
I don't know if he's alcoholic, but he's definitely an asshole.
No. There's a scene where he's a child and he's like, "Dad, you said you could stop drinking anytime." He's like, "Yeah, I could, man." He's like, "Well, how about right now?" And he's like, "Nah, I'll do it tomorrow."
Yep.
Jack is one of my favorite villains too.
Jack is cool, man.
He's got a sick theme song too.
He does.
Yeah, but his overdrive sucks ass.
Yeah.
Also, the battle music in this game, fine. Speaking of battles,
It's just fine.
it's good.
I like it.
It's fine.
It's so
compared
good.
to what I was experiencing in 6, the music in 6 just put shame to Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X has this weird, ominous, relaxing music to it all, and then occasionally it will transition.
They're really trying to build on the despair of the world, and I understand that, but like lighten up a little bit, man. Jesus.
Well, the despair
we
of
should
the
all
world
sit back
didn't
and have a
really.
good laugh.
Like we get it. We all went through high school. Come on.
So you're built up to be in this Blitzball game with a team that hasn't won a game in like its entire existence, 23 years running, apparently. And this guy's been on the team for half of that, and he's been the captain. So maybe you need a new captain. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to retire." So they get into the tournament. Apparently, there's only like 4 teams in the tournament, or 6 from the whole world. So I'm like, okay.
Sweet League. It's like the XFL.
Yeah. There's a cutscene where, just like the XFL, yeah. There's a cutscene where the radio announcers for this Blitzball thing goes, and there they are. I guess they'll be going home soon. They're making fun of them. And then immediately, within the next 10 minutes, Waka, the character, the Blitzball captain, comes in. He's like, "We've been seeded." Like, that makes no sense. You've literally never won a game, ever.
God, we came in second. Wait, what? How?
And he goes, "If we win 2 games, we win the championship." I go, "That makes even less sense."
Shut up, I'm the protagonist. Anything can happen. Plot armor.
So they win the first game with our main character, Titus. Titties.
I think it's Titus. They say Titus into Dissidia.
He doesn't even play in the game. So, okay, they should lose, but they don't. It's like, hey, they won the first game ever in their existence. They get to the finals against the team that always wins. And Titus is playing, and it's like the most impossible mechanic I've ever experienced in a RPG game. It's so dumb. It makes no sense. The characters are underleveled, and it's almost telling you have to lose this game.
Well, it's just showing you how shitty your team really is, right?
Right? I was like, this team should not have won anything.
No. There's a reason they went 23 years without a win.
Yeah. So Waka is like injured from the first game, and Titus gets it in his head that I'm going to leave the game and have my injured buddy play.
No, the crowd booed him off stage, essentially.
Well, maybe he should play better.
Ooh, there's an idea.
Well, that's the thing. If it's like at one point when you're on the ship going to like the stadium, you have the opportunity to learn a really overpowered move.
Oh, good. So glad I was told about that.
Even when you score a few goals with that move, it's everything turns out the same. Crowd boos you off stage. They want Waka.
Fucking stupid.
Waka's the captain.
Which also makes no sense. I mean, if their team has lost every single game, why do they even have fans?
The idea is they're the underdogs.
They got spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
Sports fans don't really use logic. They know their team sucks and go, well, I was born in this town, so I gotta be a fan.
I want the original loser on the field right now.
Essentially,
Like, anyone that-
all sports logic points to get your worst player off the team and replace him with the better one, which they
Plot
do.
twist, they're all bad.
Well, yeah, even Titus, so fuck him, right? So then your team gets superpowered through the power of spirit and friendship and believing, and they still
Part of the cards,
fucking
yeah.
suck
The power of
worse
God
than the
and anime.
and they still fucking suck. They're not as good as the best team, and then there's just like, and then the announcers go, "Well, they tried. Isn't that what matters?" I'm like, no. all while the music, all while the music in the game it's like da 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 da. They're gonna come back and win. Nah, they lost.
Not to mention, there's only a select special few that can breathe underwater.
Yeah, right.
True.
Yeah, really.
I think they're called fish.
Yeah.
So thank God I never had to play that again in my life. It goes, oh, you can recruit players from around the world. I go, how about no?
Just wait till you try to get, I think it was, Kamari's ultimate weapon near the end of the game. You thought Blitzball was bad.
Oh.
What's his thing?
If I'm not mistaken, Kamari's ultimate weapon, if you remember, there's a field you have to run through where lightning strikes and you have to press
Oh,
the button
yeah,
to
fuck
dodge
that.
lightning.
Oh,
You have to dodge it like 8, 9, like however many times in a row without
100.
fucking up. Yeah, 100 times in a row.
I thought that was for
100
Lulus.
times?
I can't remember who I want. It may not be Kamari. I may be mistaken. I just remember you get one of the ultimate weapons that way.
Put it this way,
Yeah, I
not
think
worth
that's Lulu. But yeah, it's pretty tedious.
Tedious.
Ah.
It's almost as bad as the fucking Chocobo races for Salad Bowl.
Salad bowl?
So it's Calig Bowl, but
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so the Blitzball thing, now I remember why I stopped playing Final Fantasy all those years ago. It is the Blitzball. And
Oh.
I put the feeler out on Twitter. I am not the only one that felt the same.
It's about 60-40 in favor of Blitzball.
it's not bad. I wouldn't go back and play it again, but I did enjoy it when I played it.
My God.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, basically.
Wow, what a compliment. I didn't want to kill myself. There's that.
Well, in this day and age, that's actually a pretty good compliment.
It's pretty cool, man. You made it.
I didn't want to claw my eyes out just to make something interesting happen.
Hell yeah.
What I
Final Fantasy's
really
cool.
did like about Final Fantasy X was you have your party that's gathered, and when you're in battles, you can, in real time, change out your party to combat enemies that they're more suited to go up against. Is it a little bit dumbed down for my taste? Yes, but I really did like it. It brought out a different strategy. Each character has Titus doesn't really have anything right now. He's just all around.
Well, he's a speed buff. He's a speed and buffer. He's your main damage dealer.
Yeah, I noticed. I ended up noticing that. I go, okay, this is what his
You can also
weakness is.
infinitely stack cheer, by the way.
Oh, so
can?
even though I don't see
Yeah.
the thing circling around them. Okay.
Yeah, so you can just use cheer over and over and over and over again. And
Noted. That would have been helpful
Yeah.
for the big scorpion battle before Sin fucked everything up. That would have been much better. But anyways,
Right.
The few boss battles I encountered were pretty fun. It felt like Final Fantasy, as it should. It's very angsty. Like everyone was a teenager around this time.
I can understand why, especially since Sin is so oppressive.
Yeah. The couple puzzles I encountered were weird, especially in the Summoner's Dungeon.
Those suck.
Yeah,
It's
those
like-
suck.
What am
I even tried to use a guide and I couldn't do it.
Even the guides were like, you know what? We actually don't remember which way to go. So
Yeah, they're like, good luck.
It's like just put these sphere balls in random places until it's right. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
like,
one of the
there's
most
so,
common complaints.
They're so unnecessary. Like, it feels like the developers like, we need a puzzle.
You need to be Zelda.
we can't just give them the summon. Like,
Yeah, why would we?
yeah.
So that
And then
sucks.
you don't level up your characters the same as they just get higher, like a World of Warcraft or a standard
Yeah.
RPG. You go through the tedious motion of there's a pun not intended. You go through what's called the sphere grid, So you get movement points, I guess, how to put it, and in the sphere grid, you would move to different parts. Most of it's linear. There's a couple branching parts to the sphere grid, but you have to have level unlocks to it, which I guess, from what I noticed, you get by earning in boss battles. So it gives you a limited amount of these level locks, and then you have to choose a path, and that's how you would level up your character. And that's whether it's like increase your evasion by 2, increase your magic power by 2, increase your health by 200 points. It goes about that. So it was very tedious, and my god, I died once after this was on my way to the Sin battle. I just encountered these salamanders that stoned me. It petrified me, and I died, and I just spent leveling up my sphere grid for like 10 minutes. Fuck.
I did not like the sphere grid system.
No,
the
and
system wasn't the greatest.
I can see why it was never touched on again. But it was interesting enough where I go, okay, I can kind of choose my own path how to buff my character, but it was too linear and not branching enough where it felt like I didn't really need to pay much attention to it. Just felt
tedious. It was used again, but I can't remember if it was a Final Fantasy game or if it was another game that just did the same thing.
Probably.
I had to look up a map on the best way to level your guys, because it was like, well, for some reason, Yuna's my high damage dealer for no reason right now.
Yuna has the most magic, and
yeah,
so
but like,
you'd level her summoning and healing, and then you cross her into Lulu's thing.
Yeah, it was weird and confusing. I wasn't a big.
So, you mentioned Final Fantasy VI takes a while to get going. It's really only the first hour and a half. This one takes forever, because it's just all cutscenes. You can't skip them. I tried.
And they talk slow.
Slow.
Does that get fixed in the remaster?
No, it doesn't. You still can't skip. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh my
no
god.
cutscene skipping. So, I'm weirdly into Final Fantasy X. It does draw me in. It's easy enough. I do like how only Yuna has the power of summon an Aeon. I don't know if that changes later.
No.
Or little guardian forces.
Yeah.
She is a summoner.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I didn't know if like other people could get the power of summoning. Like in 6, you can give them magic abilities willy-nilly.
No, in 10, she's the summoner. That's the whole point of only one person can be the summoner in the world.
Okay.
No, there's other summoners. But in this
that's right. No, there's one. Isn't it like the Grand Summoner or something like that? She becomes like
there was like another summoner, a rival summoner named
Sora.
you run into.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It was Sora.
Right.
There's a lot of scantily clad women. They made sure when the models were made in this game to really emphasize the dem anime titties, if you will.
Don't disrespect Lulu.
The game loved its ass shots way more.
Well, the ass shots were definitely there as well. God damn it.
That's anime 101.
Asses.
Anime 101.
And they cranked it up to 11 in 10 too.
Lulu's innocent, okay? She has a doll. All right.
Lulu is
she has a Moogle doll, which I thought was funny because I was like, "Hey, I just made these things kill things in Final Fantasy VI."
So she's an innocent lady.
Lulu's a thought pocket.
Hey, listen, be nice.
her victory pose is to literally show you cleavage.
Bend over, yeah, it's so funny. I played that. I remember that happening the first time. I was like, "This is a kids game."
Hey,
No,
it's T for
teen.
It's not E for everybody like Casino NBA 2K20.
Too true.
Too true. So the story really, it's very despair. The world is all sad all the time, every day, everyone. But the dialogue is probably the worst I've experienced in Final Fantasy. It's very contradictory of everything it does. I'm not into the story yet, and I really didn't like that. Like Auron, that's Tidus's, I guess, mentor.
It's his dad's friend,
dad's buddy. He just goes, "So what do you think of Sin, brah?" And he's like, he just goes, "Not a fan." He goes, "Excuse me, not a fan. It made me go to this world that's apparently in the future." He goes, "Oh, by the way, that's your dad." What?
How dare you spoil this
Spoilers, man.
19-year-old game?
Yeah, now maybe I won't play it.
Yeah, well, I just
What
go,
you've done.
oh, so just in casual conversation, you just kind of revealed in the beginning of the game the big bad. Thanks. Good job, Final Fantasy X. So, as of right now, this is a little spoiler. Final Fantasy X, not cracking my top 5.
What?
Wait till you get to the
Aw.
end.
We'll
Wait till
see.
you get to the end.
Yeah, the end is really good.
I did see the infamous laughing scene, though. Finally,
No,
I did see it for
that
myself.
scene's taken out of context, and in the sense of the story, it makes way more sense.
No,
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
But out of context,
previous
it's just hilarious.
it's the one time where the bad voice acting actually works in, like Kevin said, context for the story.
Yeah.
We're like, we have
Yeah.
to force ourselves to laugh.
Yeah.
Therefore, it comes off as awkward. It's like, okay, this makes sense. Yeah, so that's Final Fantasy X. I'm not failing it, but I'm not loving it, but I am drawn in, if that makes sense.
Fair enough.
So you're on the fence about it.
I am very much on the fence about it. Final Fantasy VI is going to take precedence, but I feel like I know I'm going back to play Final Fantasy VI. I know I'm finishing that game. That is going to be my little update. It's like, how much Final Fantasy VI have I played? Final Fantasy X, if I put this down, I have a strange feeling I won't be finishing this fucking game.
You'll enjoy it. It's actually a really, really good game, especially like about halfway through.
Okay. Joey.
Can I say something about 10?
Oh, yeah, sure. Before we move on to Joey's installation.
Yeah, this is the very first Final Fantasy game I ever played all the way through. It was like way back in high school. So as such, it has a special place in my heart.
There's a lot of nostalgia with this game with people.
I freely admit that a lot of what my love for this game is nostalgic, but I don't care. I really love it. It's like you said, the gameplay is really good with being able to switch out characters mid-battle without losing your turn. Because that saved my ass a lot of times.
Oh yeah, it's big time strategy element to it.
Yeah. And I get that people don't really like the linearity, just might find it too restrictive, but
At least it's not 13.
It didn't bother me. It was just an observation. I go, this is a lot more linear than... Because I had no memory of it being linear. I thought it was open world, but you know what? It could have been because of the era it came out in. Because it was on the PS2, and it was such a leap in graphics that it felt like it was open world back when it first released.
Yeah.
Now that I've gone back and played it, I go, oh, I'm actually just running forward. Well, that's interesting. It was just an observation that kind of took my mind aback.
Yeah, I mean, if linearity were a fault in and of itself, God of War wouldn't be as popular as it is.
Oh, that's a good game, so.
Yeah.
Joey can agree with that.
Yeah, I love God of War.
Yeah. I also forgot you could also switch your weapons and armor mid-battle. So
I didn't know
makes
that.
it a lot less tedious to deal with like certain elemental advantages and disadvantages.
I haven't had to use any like magic or defense tactics, but that's most Final Fantasies. I don't play that way.
Yeah. Now, you said you were kind of meh on the music. Personally, I love it. This game has a fantastic soundtrack.
In the cutscenes, it had very good music.
Return to Xanderkin is the shit.
Battle
Hell
theme.
yeah.
The battle theme. Yeah, it's good too.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Hang on.
One more thing, Colin. And then we got to move on.
Okay, fine. Can I just say the city of Xanderkin itself that you see in the beginning of the game is absolutely gorgeous?
No, you can't.
You're not allowed. We're
so bold yet so correct.
I'm gonna mute that part of the podcast. It's just gonna be Kevin just going, "No, you can't."
Just censored. I can't believe you would say something like that. Jesus.
Don't tell me what to do.
Xanderkin's pretty.
It was a very cool futuristic industrial? No, sci-fi. Sci-fi is a way to put it.
Yeah, it looked like the Citadel from Mass Effect. Although I played Mass Effect after this one, so I'm making
Titus, and this is my favorite store in all the Citadel.
I can safely say it's a location from a video game I would want to live in. minus the whole destroyed by sin thing.
That's like a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to draw the line somewhere.
Mm.
And
All right.
and this game has my favorite romance from any Final Fantasy game.
Sora and Goofy. Nice.
Boo.
What's wrong with Tidus and Yuna?
Oh, they're cute, but they're.
I'm not feeling it.
Well, we'll get to this.
It could have been Lulu.
Well,
It could have been Lulu. You're right.
could have been Kamari.
No, Waka got her instead.
Yeah. That one was immediate. I felt it. This one just felt like Yuna just goes, "He looks cool. Could you guard me?"
Y'all can read my you can read my Kamari and Titus fanfic over at
Oh no.
It's for the plot, guys.
Listen, lady, I'm not from here, and I don't know when I am. Please, please help.
You want to stroke my horn?
You know
It's
what?
broken.
I did get a kick out of this. This dude has what they think to be amnesia from Sin, and the whole group just goes, except Yuna. They're just like, "Hey, we're going to this town. Do you think we can ditch him there?" "Yeah, that's a great idea. He's sure to know somebody, right?" And he's listening, and there's nothing from him. He just goes, I guess that's what they're talking about. I'll go over here now and talk to the hot girl. Okay. Oh, and she has heterochromia because anime.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, Joey.
Yeah, easy pass from me.
Joey.
Yeah.
All passes.
You had the amazing task of playing the Final Fantasy game. Obviously, no one talks about.
I feel like we should main event this.
And
You think we should main event this?
Nah, Joey's been quiet. Go ahead.
No. Joey's been. Joey, have your.
I can
have
hold
your
off.
moment.
Have my moment. Well, let me tell you. First, I had to download 5 zip files that were about 1.5 gigs each.
And what game was this for?
Final Fantasy 11.
Oh,
Whoa,
interesting.
PC nerd.
This PS2 game that came out in 2002.
Why'd you have to install a PS2 game? Question.
Because it is a PS2 game that's on the PC. It is not a true PC game. So what I just downloaded though was the installer to install Play Online and Final Fantasy 11, which then when I turned on Play Online, I had to update. That took a little while, and then I got the Final Fantasy, and that had an update. That took like an hour and a half.
What? So just in the installation process, what are we looking at here?
It was probably about 6 hours to finally get everything up to the point where I realized I needed a bunch of accounts to start playing it.
PC gaming sounds so fun.
And on top of it, during the
Race,
6
right?
hours, Play Online has some of the worst music ever, and it's really loud. And it took until after the update for me to be able to turn it down.
Wow, what an update! You can now turn down the menu music.
It's annoying. So then I had to create a Square Enix account, and then I had to create. So I was like, "Oh, I'm good to go." Nope. Then I had to create a Play Online account from the Square Enix account, and then I needed to go create a service account so I could actually put on the trial to connect to the Square Enix account to go to the Play Online account. So there's 3 different accounts I had to create, and that was fun. That took another 2 or 3 hours just to get all that done.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
Can we have a post show where you just call the customer service to get your, like, say you're locked out of your account? Let's see how long it takes.
I'm sorry,
so
sir. I see you're locked out of your service account, but you need to go through Square Enix first to get the approval to go through your service account, and then we'll unlock it.
Do you have a Final Fantasy fan account? Because we're going to need that information.
We also need you to sacrifice a goat.
Need you to sacrifice the goat. It's super
You need to go on Reddit because the actual Final
really
Fantasy account is canceled. So you have to go on the Reddit account. We have to make sure you're pre-approved from Square Enix themselves and a
Do
customer
you have a
service
GameStop credit card?
Do you have a GameStop?
We're gonna need that.
We need your Blockbuster membership card as well.
And the last 4 digits of your social security number.
I did super necessary.
your SIN number, if you will.
Yes.
That's what they call it in Canada.
So what else did you have to do to get this thing up and running?
Well, there's 2 different types of service accounts too.
Of course there is.
One of them for Play Online, one of them for MOG, which I think might have been the original way to do the PS2, but you can't do PS2 anymore since 2016, so I don't know why that's still an option.
Wow, it went all the way. That's right. That's when they canceled the PS2 online officially.
Which I don't know why they did that, because then they had the 15-year anniversary of the year after. So you think they would have held off to, but whatever. And then when I found a 14-day trial because I'm not going to pay for this.
Of course,
it's $13 a month. I had to get.
That's the perfect amount of time.
It still used the key code, so I had to copy and paste that over to activate it because it didn't work because it was from Enix to the Play account, but I couldn't buy it straight from the service account, so whatever. And then when I went into the Play Online, I had to take a password that was generated from Square Enix into it and then create a password for the Play Online. It took 2 passwords. I don't know why.
Wow.
And each time I clicked on password, it brought up a keyboard because it's not PC native. So it wanted me to click in. Luckily, I could still type because that would have been really annoying if I had to just click.
So you did it unauthentically. You should have gotten your Mad Cat and typed everything the way it's meant to be. Maybe that's why you had a bad experience.
Maybe. So I finally get into the game. And then I realized,
you're 10 hours into this whole just getting the game running.
It took a couple days. I didn't play the first time I got everything installed. I'm like, I gotta step away.
I gotta take a break. I need a stiff drink.
So I get the game up, and it's terrible. It's like in 800 by 600, just terrible graphic. I'm like, why can't I make it look good? I go to configs, has nothing to do with graphics.
Good.
So I went online and looked. There's its own config tool because, of course, it's not PC native. It's just a port. So I had to close out of the game, close out of Play Online, pull up the config tool, try to find a config that worked that didn't crash. So I finally got that going. I couldn't do full screen because the game just crashed on me. I don't know why.
Oh.
So I got a decent setup going, and then I finally got in the game. I then had to go through the character creation. I wanted to play a paladin, but apparently you can't be a paladin until level 30.
What?
Oh, of course.
So it's a subclass or a specialization class.
Is it like how you did in 14 where you got a level 1 thing to 30 and then 1 thing to 15?
I wasn't 100% sure, but I think a paladin was a warrior and a white mage. So I think it was something like that. And
then, and 14 you have to level 2 things and then it makes one big job. And
yeah, I think you have to do some kind of quest to earn it. I don't know if I think you only because you can only be one of each. So 14, I guess you can do it 2 at the same time, but you have to choose one, get up to 30, and then I think you do a quest line that gets the other ability. So I think it was recommended to go warrior if you wanted to go paladin, because I don't think you want to start off as a mage and then try to be tanky.
Right.
So it was fun, and apparently warriors start off with a sword, but I had no idea how the menu worked. I couldn't figure out. I could see items that I got from killing things, but I couldn't see items that were in my inventory. So I looked up everywhere. There was a command to finally. I had to do some command to equip it, and then I finally found the menu, which was the dash button. Because this game doesn't really work, so C and all that doesn't do anything. So dash brings up menus, and I can finally go through everything like you would do in a PlayStation. You bring up one menu and then select the sub menus you want. The viewing was inverted. So I was trying to get around my character, and it just threw me off. So I tried to go left, and it was just swinging me right, and it was annoying. First-person view didn't really work well unless it auto-targets something for you. I pretty much ended up running around pressing enter to target something, pressing enter to bring the menu up, and enter to attack. So that was pretty much my game, was running around just spamming enter.
This is glorious.
And how many people were online?
I actually looked at the numbers. They have 50,000 people who play monthly.
Oh
Why
my
do people
god!
hate themselves?
11 is still really popular.
Yeah, I get if you played all the way throughout, I can see why you come back. Honestly, would play it more, but I don't want to go through Play Online to get to it. So I don't want to get to it to play it, but I kind of want to play it. But it's just too much of a hassle to get on.
Don't
to play.
do this to yourself.
So
Play 14.
maybe my friend does play that, and he wanted me to play a little bit with him. I was like, I don't know. Because that one, I think you can get a trial up to level 30.
Yes, you can.
So that one, I might.
There's actually, I believe I was in GameStop the other day, and yeah, I mean, I got to take advantage of it while I can before all the stores close down. I saw a Final Fantasy XIV complete disc version for like $20. That's with all the DLC as well.
Yep.
And you get I believe you get a 30-day free trial, and you get all the way up to, I think, level 30 as well. So if you don't play enough in the 30 days and you're not at level 30, it extends. It could be wrong, but that's what I took from it.
Yeah, it looks like you can get on Steam. You can get Final Fantasy 14 for $20, starter edition, and then the complete edition $60.
Yeah,
that comes on some DLC or expansion.
Well, it's gonna go on sale soon because the new expansion's either coming out or has already come out.
Shadowbringer already came out, unless there's another one.
That's why it's $60. That includes Shadowbringer. That on its own is $40.
The one I was looking at didn't come with Shadowbringer. So Joey, what is Final Fantasy XI even about? Do we even know?
I don't even know what the story is, to be quite honest. I was just running around trying to figure things out, which is one of the things I like. It doesn't hold your hand at all, so you just have to like find people to talk to. They give you quests.
Okay.
I'm sure.
How many bear asses did you have to collect?
I didn't get any bear asses. I was just killing a lot of rabbits and
Game
some worms.
sucks.
And then I started getting good enough to kill the orcs, but I'm sure there were other stuff. I was just in the newbie zone. But there was like no hand holding. There was one guy that talked to you in the beginning. He's like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to go kill." And then it showed me how to get out of town. And then
he's like, "Okay, let's call the cops."
So I mean, I'm sure if I spent more time, there'd be a whole lot more quests. But I think there's a lot of small things there's a lot of like series of quest lines that build off of things. I started working with the town guard, and I did the first quest, and then it gave me an option for a level 2 quest, and so somewhat. But I can see why people want to play it, especially if they've been with it. But for anyone new, I don't think they want to go through play online and having to deal with that.
Wasn't there a big update like within the last year or two as well?
The last actual
we have
like a story or whatever was 2015.
Okay.
But they did do the 15-year anniversary in 2017. And I think they still did a Christmas or holiday in 2018 because there was a spike in players then. But it's in maintenance mode. They're not doing anything new with it. That 2015 was the last story element that they added. So it's kind of just just hanging around while people are still playing.
There's like one guy in the server room controlling all. 14.
Yeah, I don't know if they should probably decrease their servers that they have because some of them have lower populations. But I don't think they even thought about it. I don't think they care enough.
Square cares, yeah.
Well, apparently, in the Twitch chat here, a guy named Greyfather, he says Final Fantasy XI is popular not only on retail still, but there are at least 3 private servers that have good populations.
Yeah, I'm sure there's private servers. I can see private servers being very popular. I mean, WoW has had a lot of private servers that are popular. EverQuest has a lot of emulated servers that became so popular that EverQuest retail started doing progression servers because people liked the old way. So I can see a lot of MMOs that are from around that time do have a lot of private servers that probably more enjoyable than retail.
So the solo story campaign, I looked it up, clocks in around 1,200 hours.
Oh boy.
Or you can play co-op, and that'll cut it to 500. There is a co-op campaign.
I didn't even get that far.
It's an online game, right? So the story keeps going and going and going. It's added on and added on and added on.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of these releases were. But it just, I don't know. Maybe I can check out private servers because the game doesn't seem to be too bad, but I just don't want to go through play online ever again.
The 8 hours of installation plus the 4 hours of customer service.
It
all led to about 2 hours of gameplay.
I wasn't ready for it because, I mean, I found you can buy something on Steam for it, but I was reading it and it says you manually have to delete user content before downloading it because it might cause issues. So
what a game!
What a game!
What a game!
So yeah, I would not recommend it unless you're a diehard Final Fantasy fan and you just want to play them all, or if you've already played it and it's your MMO of choice from back in the day. But newcomers, I don't see any draw to start this up.
Yeah, that's what 14's for, is what I'm taking away.
Yeah, because I mean, especially since even if you're coming into the community, everyone's already so high level and so advanced that you're going to be playing a lot of the first levels by yourself, and you're probably going to get bored, and it's just not going to be as fun.
Unless everyone at the Red Leaf Retrocast and all the fandoms get together and create their own private server. And start a Final Fantasy XI group.
I'll put as much effort into that as I put into the podcast. Zero. It's mine. Zero.
Negative effort, more like. Ha!
Yeah.
So we got another comment from Greyfather here in
Actually,
Twitch
the
chat.
story of it. Yeah, I didn't get far enough to know any of that.
So, 3 kingdoms rebuilding after a worldwide war versus a dark lord that was defeated and imprisoned. They have their differences, but are forced to work together in the realization that there is a coalition of evil entities working to release and restore the Dark Lord's power. It is a story of unity in the face of evil.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things about this game to like. It's just getting to the game is not fun. So,
All right, Colin, your Final Fantasy.
Okay. Why the heck did I get the one that was the hardest to get?
What do you mean?
At least, I don't know. I mean,
Get the anthology disc. It's like $4.
Was 11 not the hardest to get? I'm sorry.
hey, it was easy to get. It was the hardest to play.
the hardest to find a playable copy of. I mean, although I eventually found an English version on the PSN, so I've been playing it on my Vita.
It's because the game is so stupid that everyone that had the game just got rid of it and snapped it.
How was that one hard to get?
I don't know. I mean, I couldn't even find a translated ROM on my emulator. That's
PS1.
That's why I was
The
PS1.
GBA. The phone.
They have
I
a
looked at
DS
like,
version on Steam.
That one.
I went to a retro game store. The only copy they had was like an in-box Game Boy Advance copy, and that was expensive as fuck.
Yeah, that goes for about $20 minimum on the GBA. But the PlayStation version's $5, physical or digital.
Well, they didn't have it, so I guess.
Oh, no.
I guess since I live in bumfuck nowhere, Canada.
Well, you got the
not as
PSN,
easy.
so
Could have just called it Canada.
called the
I did.
Canada.
I called it bumfuck nowhere, Canada.
At least it's not Connecticut.
Well, I mean, come on now.
Oh, sick burn.
I accept.
Yeah, I got the PSN version. Played maybe, well, the game says 6 hours, but I'm sure I put at least 10 in. Yeah, like JD said on our Switch Online podcast, this game is its story anyway, is very bare bones and boring.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy V.
Yes.
Bart is not exciting at all. The most exciting thing about him is his name.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
and Boko.
The plot is you play as Bart, a lone wanderer in the wild who comes across Reyna, or is it Lena? My copy says Reyna.
I got Lena. You know,
She's
Japanese translation, R's and L's.
She's the princess of the kingdom in which this game takes place. She's come to investigate the site of a meteorite that just hit the Earth, and Bart rescues her from some goblins that attempt to kidnap her. And then we actually find out at the very beginning that the wind has stopped, which apparently means trouble.
Of course.
And not long after, one of the elemental guardian crystals of the kingdom shatters. Because there's 4 of them that hold everything together. That's very, very typical of RPGs.
It's very Final Fantasy.
Yeah. And Bart finds himself pulled into a journey to protect the remaining crystals from whatever evil force is making its appearance. I mean, that's how it starts. I don't know if it gets any deeper than that. I didn't play past a certain point.
I haven't played too much of it either. I know some of the story. I do know it does. And just like 10, it does get a lot better. But 5 is honestly one of the worst Final Fantasies that I've ever had to start. It is the most boring. Bart is the dumbest character. He's supposed to be like a bard mimic type character.
Bard, got it.
Yeah. He's a bard, you know. He's supposed to be like a mimic type character, and I don't know. I just found him like, of all the characters in the Final Fantasy main characters, like he was just the worst one. But apparently he's super good in Dissidia, so I don't understand.
Huh. Yeah, like I said, it's a fairly bog standard RPG, although there are a couple of interesting bits. There's a point early in the game where you can actually get a lap dance from some stage dancers.
Sweet.
Most important part.
Yeah.
Well, this game's boring. At least I got to get my dick hard.
There was one part my brother, when we were younger, I had my little brother watch me play this game. I never played too
censored.
much, Yeah, censored. He actually used to get terrified right at the beginning when you go to steal a pirate ship and Sildra's head pops up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it used to scare the ever-living shit out of him. It was so funny.
Huh. Yeah, the pirate captain you meet later on.
Yeah, Ferris,
There's-
I think the name is.
Yeah, Ferris. Oh, whoops. I just spoiled it. There's a bit. There's a bit.
Shem.
There's a bit where
Zinzer.
Bart's and the
Yeah.
old man, or Bart's and the old man Galuf catch Ferris sleeping and apparently find him extremely attractive. But then it's revealed 15 minutes later that Ferris is actually a woman disguised as a man.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you could say they were attracted to a man.
A very pretty man, apparently.
Yes.
Well, I mean, people have a thing for that.
I'm pretty.
I mean, like,
There are plenty of
Yeah.
fabulous-looking men out there.
Haven't you heard
So
of
yeah,
Bloodlust?
we can safely say JRPGs were doing this sort of thing long before Persona 4 came out.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
well, I mean, they kind of gave away the fact that Ferris was going to be a woman anyway, because they're like, oh my god, that princess has the same necklace as me.
Huh. I
So-
didn't quite remember that part. Maybe
Yeah.
just 'cause I was so bored with the story.
It's you didn't miss much. Oh my god, the same necklace. Wow, we're sisters. Our dad is fucking dying. The wind crystal. X death. Game.
So true. So true.
So I played.
Right.
I mentioned this on the Switch Online cast, as Colin said.
Yeah.
I played 4 and 5, and I'll just reiterate this for those that hadn't listened to the Switch cast. But 4, I thought had the story, but the gameplay wasn't there. And then I played 5, and I go, the gameplay better, but then the story was so trope and basic that I just, as you said, Josh, this was hard to get into.
Yep.
Because Final Fantasy games are so heavily story-based that if it doesn't get you into that story, you're going to have some trouble. For
Yep.
a game that's about 33 hours long, at least that's what How Long to Beat says, this was tough. This was a tough sell. By the way, for those wondering, it did come out in December of 1992 originally. It was basically 2 years before Final Fantasy VI came out.
So, just really quick to kind of touch on what you said, you thought the combat in 4 was pretty bad? Or just boring?
Obviously, from compared to 3, I thought it was way better.
Right.
Because I vastly disliked a lot of things about Final Fantasy 3.
It's just so hard. For no fucking reason.
Well, yes, but I thought with 4 that there was still a lot of improvements to be made, right?
Right. For sure.
And I was very much into the characters and the story that was being told. You know, with the big firebombing of a town, you're like, maybe I shouldn't obey this dude.
Or the fact that the big bad guys are called the Red Barons.
Yeah, it's cool names. Those had cool names.
Well, I mean, I think the Red Baron was also a touch on Nazi Germany fighter pilots.
You don't say.
It's even worse.
Huh.
I couldn't remember if that was what a detail or not. So
yeah,
Word.
Final Fantasy V just really couldn't. I didn't care about the characters because they were all just trope. Oh, this person has amnesia. Oh, this one's scared of everything. Oh, this one is a princess girl and she's all, oh my god, no, my dad. Oh.
It sounds like any anime ever. I thought you would be a fan.
Look, I've seen every anime ever, so I don't want to do that in my video game.
And here you are still watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got 'em.
the gameplay is pretty good. I mean, the whole job system is fairly intuitive. It allows for a lot of customization. Though personally, I prefer when RPGs have the characters in a fixed role, just because there's just so much to keep track of when you can like infinitely customize the characters, and that I find that overwhelming. I just generally prefer to work around limitations and create strategies. Whereas if I have limitless customization, it paralyzes me. It's the whole choice paralysis thing.
Yeah.
Joey, question for you.
Yes.
What do you look for in a sequel or story in a game? Do you want it to be differentiate itself from another, or do you like the simplicity? That's what Final Fantasy V, I think, was shooting for.
I mean, it depends on the game. If a sequel, like if it continues the story, that's fun. But I mean, if it's completely different, then it's also okay if that's how the games are set up. So I don't know. It depends on the game itself and how much I like the previous game, what I want the sequel to be.
Okay. So, Colin, just continuing off that, what did you think of what Final Fantasy V brought to the table in that? Was it enough, or did they just try to be too safe with everything?
I don't know. I mean, I guess gameplay wise, it was enough. I mean, they're kind of building off of what already worked.
Right.
Is that's generally what I like in like a game sequel. It takes what made the first game work and makes it better.
Sure.
It's like bad sequels will either stick completely to what happened in the first game, just like repeat everything again, or it'll change things so drastically that it's completely unrecognizable. But I feel like this game, minus the story, it did a pretty good job.
Minus the story, which, judging from how we began this Final Fantasy cast, the story was kind of what we all agreed to be what we liked about Final Fantasy. So when you started Final Fantasy V, you yourself said it was kind of boring, but the gameplay was good, and I think we're in total agreement with that.
To be fair, Final Fantasy V just kind of sucks.
Well, it's definitely not going to be on my top list.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not the worst one.
Yeah,
it is not the worst.
Yeah, the way the job system works is kind of cool, because when you level up different jobs with different characters, and as you gain certain levels with certain jobs, you can gain abilities that you can equip and use even when using other jobs. Like, for instance, you have one character level up white mage job and you'll get the white ability, and then you can switch their job to black mage but equip the white ability, therefore you can use both white magic and black magic. And Twitter keyboard warriors everywhere just popped a blood vessel listening to what I just said.
Yeah. At least they didn't. At least they called it white magic and not, like, white power. That'd be fucking.
Wow.
Yeah, good thing you didn't say that, Colin.
Whoa.
Oh boy.
If I had a
if you need to tweet at me, you can find me at _Jake Duval.
Wow.
At hotmail.com.
I'm not sure I get it.
Check out my Friendster.
You can go hit me up on MySpace at Jake Duval.
You can check my Napster playlists.
Yeah.
That probably still exists.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah. One thing I didn't like about the game is that it's pretty stingy with item drops from the battles. It's like 1 in 5.
I did notice that.
1 in 5 battles, you'll actually get something, but if that.
But doesn't that make it feel more special?
Items is to use the steal.
You gotta earn it, man. It's special when you get something.
Just made me want to grind, and I wasn't into that.
Yeah. I think where I stopped playing was the Library of the Ancients, which is the level that after the Fire Crystal, which is the 3rd crystal.
Right. Oh, you got quite far.
Yeah. One of the random battle enemies in the library has a doom spell that one-shot kills your entire party. Yes, your entire party.
Oh, that sounds fun.
That was complete horseshit, and I do not have the patience to grind for levels on other jobs to try and counter it.
There's probably a spell you can put down that protects you from like insta-death.
I imagine there is, but I'm not into this game enough to try and get it.
Yeah, fuck parts.
Yeah.
So does Final Fantasy V get a pass or fail from you, Colin?
That's really hard to say. I guess I'd give it a soft pass on the gameplay alone.
Hey.
But the story just isn't interesting outside of everything with Ferris anyway.
Okay.
Fail it. Look in your heart.
Ferris enough.
Oh, it's really fun. We got to end the show now.
You're off the cast.
Oh.
Man, Colin's aggressive today.
Man, what kind of Canadian
Handing out
are you? You're so
firings everywhere.
mean.
Yeah.
Blackass now. Puns not
Whoa.
allowed.
Whoa.
All right, Kevin, you're
Hey.
up. We got 2 more games to talk about here.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Mine's gonna go quick because I
Okay, Josh
did.
has played it. He can help.
I did good.
can
So I was
help
gonna say I need help because
He was sick.
I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna pull back the curtain a little for the audience here.
Get it? Because it starts with a play.
Oh, you.
This is why you're
So-
back. This is why we wanted you back, Josh.
We set up this cast like how many months ago? 6. We talked about it.
something like that.
Guess
Yeah.
we forgot about Final Fantasy in that time because Borderlands was coming out. All I did was focus on
in
Borderlands.
all fairness, I did remind you guys plenty of times.
In all fairness, Borderlands came out. So
In all fairness, I had to keep going back to check which games JD wanted me to play because I keep forgetting.
in all fairness, we had to literally revive Josh from the dead many summoning circles.
Yeah,
So
many moons.
We were busy. But yeah, I started Final Fantasy 9. I'm gonna tell you like at face value what I think of this game, and that's 7 could have looked this good.
Yeah, man. Oh,
Yeah.
my
Like-
God.
This compared to I'm not even gonna throw 8 in there. I have not touched 8 other than the memes. But like Final Fantasy 9 is pretty much just like what 7 could have been is the best way I can describe it. Like the gameplay's fine visually, yeah. It's very similar to 7 from what I played, but again, I started and when I will get back to this once I put Borderlands down.
Man,
So, yeah.
9 was so fucking awesome, though.
People say it's their favorite. Often.
A lot of
There's a lot of people that do. Yeah.
That's why I was saying earlier the whole debate about 6 being better than 7. I would say that 9 is even better than 6 or 7. And it's even
69
on.
is better than 7. Nice.
Hey, you know what? You know what they say. But it's actually on record that Nomura, I think it's Nomura, said that 9 is his favorite because he believes it actually embodies everything that he believes a Final Fantasy should be.
Mr. Final Fantasy.
Mr. Final Fantasy said that 9 was like the one. He's like, this is like the vision that we kind of had with all these fantastical creatures, humanoid type things and all that stuff.
A lot of black mages.
And they're not. Well, that's a fun story itself. I was telling
Yeah.
JD to keep trucking along because once you get into that story, like when they finally kind of like came to the climax of that story of the black mages, like with Vivi. Yeah, I was floored when you find out the truth of what's going on with Vivi. It's actually really upsetting.
Don't spoil.
I'm not going to
No.
spoil
Yeah,
because
'cause I gotta
my
go
God,
back to this.
it's awesome when you go through Vivi's story and even Freya's story is really good. Really, everyone's story is awesome. Zidane is a total twist.
I thought it was
That's
Zidane.
Zidane. I think it is Zidane. I just said Zidane.
That's a
for
famous
so
French
long.
football player, so be careful with that.
Yeah, that might be it.
I just said it for so long that it's just it could be the same thing as Titus or Titus, right? I mean,
Titty.
Titty. So yeah,
That's how it's actually pronounced.
Titty Toddy, whatever.
I changed his name actually in Final Fantasy X to Titty.
Nice. Steiner starts off as a pain in the ass. Oh my god, I can't stand Steiner, but he actually becomes like as he goes through the like that's
Steiner's
Final
actually a amazing wrestler. Just throwing that out there.
Fantasy. And Garnett is just a jewel, but it's
That's
okay.
a basketball player. Why are we getting all these real life people in our Final
Is
Fantasy
Final
games?
Fantasy 9 like the Kojima made Final Fantasy where he just took references from everything else?
Well, yeah, it was
Pretty
who was awesome in the year 2000. In
Michael
sports,
Jordan.
in sports and sports entertainment, if you will, and they just made
And then-
characters out of them. So you had
So
Scott
why is
Steiner, you had Kevin Garnett, you had Zidane.
Why isn't
Zidane.
there a Hunter Hearst Helmsley character? Thank you.
Well, then it'd be overpowered and just ruin everything.
Good point.
There was a guy with red dreadlocks, and he was a monk, but I can't remember his name for the life.
Booker T, right.
Yeah, got it. he
Basically,
probably
Booker
sucked
T.
too.
He was actually really fucking good.
I mean, he was the
remember.
world champion in 2000s.
5 time.
No, he wasn't 5-time yet.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, it's Final Fantasy IX is honestly just it has, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I don't know where you guys are at in the game, and you guys say you want to play it, and I'm really hoping you do because it has not only the best ending. I think it was Colin said 10 has the best romance, where I would have to disagree and say 9 has the best romance.
Shots fired.
Well, I haven't finished 9 yet, so
And
Whoa.
it's between and it's kind of I don't, like I said, I don't know how far you are, but it's obviously implied that the main character falls for the main girl. It always happens. Yeah, so Princess Garnet and Zidane, whatever. They're, I think
Zidane and Zidane get together.
Yeah,
I'm liking it.
Their relationship, their romance throughout the whole thing is just incredible. And the ending it's so cool. You guys got to beat this game. And I want to talk about more, but I'll just spoil the stories because there's like 7 stories that happen at the same goddamn time.
So this was something I did play a little bit more, thanks to you, Josh. You convinced me.
Yeah.
And I thought the start of the game was kind of confusing.
It is, especially with the whole play thing.
Well, so there's multiple stories going along, and there's a lot of character development happening, and that's what I loved about 6. So 9 went back to that rather than the fantastical story that 7 and 8 did.
Not to say that 7 and 8 don't have amazing stories, but
it's a fantastical singular story with the characters revolving around the story rather than what 6 and 9 are doing here, where it's
nice.
The characters are where 69 here is doing, where you have your I fixed it. Your characters developing within their own stories, and that's with the fantastical story going around. And I definitely saw that the more I was playing. Where the game starts is it has your setup, and then it switches you to another character, and kind of like Octopath Traveler, where a lot of the characters start coming together.
Right.
But in this case, the story's actually congruent with each other, and that was my biggest complaint about Octopath Traveler, was that's what it was missing, right? Kevin, do you agree with that?
Octopath Traveler, so...
I do agree.
Yeah, a very good game with fantastic gameplay.
Like, I just know there's tons of stories, but
nothing crosses over, and that was the big problem. That was the big complaint in 69.
Nice.
There was none of that complaint. It was all there. Right. When it switched me to the Black Mage and I'm running around town, I found out really quick that if I just spam the X button in random areas of the town, I find items.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't direct me what I need to do or where I need to go or what I need to focus on. I'm just going around so it's getting me to know that this character is a scavenger, right?
Sort of.
It doesn't tell me I need to go to a play. I have a fake ticket, so then, okay, where do I need to go? And then it directs me. I come across this dude in an alleyway, which always leads to great things. He wants me to play this card game? Yes. I'm mixing up my Final Fantasies.
Yeah, the triple triad.
There was a card game in this one.
It's in 8 and 9.
Okay. So it wants me to play this card game in an alley, and one thing lets me know I do have to get to this play. That happens. I didn't realize I had to get to a play. You told me that's what I need to do, Josh.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, they kind of allude to that because the beginning of the game starts with Zidane going to the play with his troop, and everyone's rushing to the play. So it kind of alludes you to that the things are going down at the play. So you're supposed to follow the crowd, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I usually don't do that. Unfortunately, that's just who I am in real life. So when I did do that, I was like, okay, now the story's going along, and this is another one I would love to go back to. I was very much engrossed with everything that was happening. It took away the best elements of 6 and the innovations of what they did with 7 and 8, and I can totally see why people loved this. But let me ask you guys this, because we all kind of had the same answer to this. I put it out on Twitter. Who has actually beaten Final Fantasy IX?
Me.
Besides Josh.
I want to.
And 9 out of 10 people, I'm saying that on purpose because it fits, say they've played it and they want to beat it. But no one's, like, very little have actually completed
it. Man.
And compared to, like, 7, compared to what I've seen with 7, 8, and 10, this one is loved, but no one's actually completed the game.
9 is actually...
I wonder why that is.
I'll give 9 this. It can be pretty tough. And one of the more daunting things about the game is learning the skills. because you don't learn skills, like you don't pick up spells, and you don't grab spells. You have to equip items, and then you have to keep that item on, and then you get experience with that item, and you eventually learn that skill.
Nice.
Yeah.
So like if you want to learn fire, you have to have the fire rod on, get so much AP until you finally permanently learn fire rod. If you get up to like 25 AP and you need 30 and you switch to the ice rod, well, you won't have fire.
Wear protection before putting on the fire rod.
Exactly. And that goes with all gear. Like you can have like a hat that gives steel, or shoes that give haste and stuff like that, right? So
that's really cool.
You'll see on the equipment, and different equipment teaches the different characters different skills too. So that's one thing you really gotta play around with the gear.
Well, this only clocks in around 40 hours, so it's not as long as I was assuming it was.
That's a solid RPG length. You don't need 100 hours everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the perfect length that tells the story perfectly fine, and it wraps up every loose end in the game. It's honestly, and it has the best ending of any Final Fantasy I've ever played.
I'm very excited for that.
I'm very excited for you guys to see it.
Maybe we'll come back to mention it. Games we've been playing sections. All right, we got one last game to talk about.
Hey, wait a minute. I got stuff to say.
So I'll see.
No, we got one more game to talk about. No, I'm kidding.
Colin, speak up.
Yeah, I mean, of the games I played, I think I played this one the most of all the other cast games, aside from 5, of course, because that was my assigned one. And I beat to the end of the first disc, and
wow,
I really like this one. I mean,
how far is the first disc? Because I had it on PC, so it didn't separate it in discs.
Nerd.
It's just past the point where you first see the main villain, Kuja.
Okay, Kuja. Well, you think it's the main villain.
What?
Oh. Yeah, between 6 and, or you know what? Let me rephrase that. Between 69.
Nice.
The twists are regarded as the 2 best twists in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, they are.
Especially Zidans. Oh my god. Zidans and Vivis will floor you guys.
Please tell me he headbutts the Italian villain.
No.
Not telling you anything.
Joey, worst Final Fantasy ever, obviously.
Well, yeah, it's the only one I played. But I just bought Final Fantasy 9, so let's see how this goes.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Yeah. I want to say one complaint I have is that in the first hour or so, the save points are very few and far in between.
Right.
It's like lots and lots of cutscenes in between or just like area traversal until one finally pops up. Because then again, narrative-wise, opening sequence with the play doesn't really allow for save points, but it's still a bit of a sticking point.
You can actually get better gear, by the way, depending on how you do the plays in those quick action scenes, by the way.
Yeah, I remember
that.
So
the better you do during those, the better gear you'll get.
Yeah. And the battles themselves tend to be a little slow. Just take a long time to get started, and then a long time for any characters to take action. Of course, I imagine that has more to do with detailed character animations.
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. I played 69 here on the.
Nice.
Are we gonna giggle every time he says that?
You're in rare form. Well, it gets me every time because he says nice. I've been playing these 2 games on the original PlayStation. And the load times, I found the load times in 5 pretty bad, and in Chrono Trigger it was pretty bad, right?
They were fine.
Only on the PlayStation version. Though.
Yeah,
only on the PlayStation. In both 6 and 9,
nice.
There wasn't egregious load times. They were pretty damn fast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a 16-bit game in 6, so.
Yeah, but so was Chrono Trigger, and that had atrocious load times.
Yeah.
9 was supposed to be on the PS2.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I mean, you can just put the disc in the PS2. Problem solved.
Whoa!
Yeah, it was supposed to be released as a PS2 launch game, but they just said, fuck it, we're releasing it now.
Huh.
Why didn't they remaster it when the PS2 came out?
That wasn't a cash cow yet.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. But yeah, this game, just like Phantasy Star 4, just rolls. It never feels like it's faffing about or wasting the player's time.
True.
It's definitely one of the better paced ones.
And if I'm going to give you guys one more piece of advice, when you fight bosses, make sure you steal from them 3 times before you beat them.
Noted.
Steal from them 3 times because they all have 3 pieces of gear, always.
Yeah.
Rule of 3.
Yeah.
We got a comment I want to read from Great Father. Really, he's been really contributing to the cast in Twitch over at Bowling JD.
Nice.
7 was groundbreaking for the time is released. It's logical that Kevin. It's logical that Square continued to develop new techniques and storylines. 9 is a recipient of that development. I love 7 for the story. I love 9 for the updated gameplay. That's seems to be the consensus. I hate you guys in this chat, especially you, Kevin. No, stop it.
Jeez.
Okay.
I wish I could see, but whatever.
We got one more game to talk about, and then we can roll out here. Josh,
easy pass on 9.
Easy pass on 9 for us all.
One of the the one I got was Final Fantasy II. It was the 3rd Final Fantasy game I ever beat. Come up for the NES, Super Nintendo, $15, $25. Depends where you get them from.
Right.
Published, developed by Square, released December 17th, 1988, so this game's old as fuck. But it's not very long. The game is based on 4, I believe they're young teens. I can't remember their age, but I know they're fairly young. 4 teens, they are traveling through the forest, and right now there's a war going between the Empire and this rebellion, and they're trying to get their city back. And one of them gets taken away. I can't remember the character's name that gets taken away. And then you're stuck with just 3. It's Firion, Maria, and Guy. And it's later found out.
Sweet name.
Yeah. And it's actually later found out that Guy knows how to speak Beaver.
What?
Yeah, he knows how to speak
Excuse
Beaver.
me?
And that's an important plot point, and you'll see eventually if you guys play it. I highly recommend playing it.
Usually when I gotta speak Beaver, I gotta pay at least $1,000 a night.
Well,
You gotta find cheaper, girl.
I
yeah.
gotta find cheaper beavers.
Just come back to Canada, baby. They're natural up here. Anyway.
Hey.
I go to Montreal for that.
Whoa.
Beaver.
Gross.
Those beaver dams are much nicer than the ones in Toronto. Am I right, boys?
Are you disrespecting Trish Stratus?
This is probably, really rude to say, but they probably smell a lot nicer up there too.
Well, they use cologne.
Whoa.
They're not doused in poutine.
Well, I mean, never mind. I don't think
Final Fantasy II.
It's okay. It's okay. Nobody got the joke. It's fine. Anyway, Final Fantasy II is one of those games that you can easily break at the beginning of the game and then have an easy time with it.
Oh,
Otherwise,
please tell me how to do that.
Okay, so your trick that you're going to do is you're going to do a few things. You're going to make them fight barehanded.
Not beaver-handed?
Nope, barehanded. You're going to 5-knuckle shuffle the whole time.
Nice.
I don't get it.
Pro wrestling jokes.
So you just...
I mean, sure. Yeah, that's what it was.
It was a triple entendre at that point. So you just go... you just punch the shit out of everything, and actually a way you can raise your HP is to have the party members hit themselves. Because your HP goes up the more you get hit. Like, you don't get experience, you don't level up. Your skills get higher and higher, like your axe skill gets higher, and your bare-handed weapon gets higher, sword, shield, health, shit like that gets higher, right? Yeah, so there's not actually like a leveling scheme. It's actually like, and what I love about 2 is it's like a growth. You feel the growth with the characters that you're playing.
They're beating the shit out of your friends.
Yeah, you beat the shit out of your friends to make them healthier, and then you go and punch goblins. Like it's a really easy system. But 2 is really awesome in the fact that it also includes a bunch of other side characters they're not main characters, but they're like guest party members, and they interact with the story in a specific way. There's actually one in Final Fantasy II. His name is Yang. He's a monk that you get for a while. Super good. And he actually ends up being involved in a puzzle in Final Fantasy IV.
Oh.
Yeah, he's it's the story of the hero. And basically the story of the hero, it's a puzzle in a dungeon 4 where you have to basically retell the story of Yang from Final Fantasy 2. So, trick with that, go barehanded, punch the shit out of everything, fight your friends, get healthy, and then you can level however you want. If you want Maria to be a red mage, then by all means. If you want Furion to be a tank or an archer, by all means. Or if you just want Gaia to go, sicko mode, you just have him go barehanded. It's super easy.
That sounds like a way I can figure out how to beat the final boss.
Oh, it's super easy. Honestly, I went for 60% of the game barehanded until I gave Furion a sword. So you can just punch your way through all your problems.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then everyone will get a
you
cure.
You mentioned in a past podcast you beat Final Fantasy 2? Or was it Ease?
Ease book 1 and 2.
Yeah.
That's not the same.
That has a horrid end boss as well.
So 2, and you actually said this to me when you were asking me which game I wanted to do. I said, I'll do 2. You said, well, good luck with that final boss. The final boss is actually super easy in Final Fantasy 2. There's actually a way you can cheese the boss really easily.
All right, how do you
cheater?
All you need is the blood sword. So the blood sword you get a little later on. You get the blood sword, and if you put it on whoever, doesn't matter. I put it on Furion. It heals you for full and does, no matter what, it always heals you for full 9s and always does full 9s of damage to the Emperor.
Well then.
So, and I'm not gonna, that doesn't really spoil it because, though you've got to fight the Empire, so obviously you got to fight the big bad.
Sure.
But the story, and actually what made it really confusing is the Red Rose Rebellion. Red Rose Rebellion is fighting against the Empire, and the part that I got stuck on for the longest time and made me actually really not like to was the first thing you do is you get keywords that you have to go and talk to certain people and advances the story in a certain way. And what I got stuck on was the first fucking keyword, which is the Wild Rose, and you had to go talk to the fucking blacksmith and say a Wild Rose. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure it out because all he says is, "Yes, I'm the blacksmith for the Wild Rose," and then I walked away. I was like, "Did I do the story?"
That was a problem I had in the early Final Fantasy games. It just felt like going back and forth.
Right. But for the most part, it is kind of open world with some limitations to where you can go. But honestly, Final Fantasy 2 is not a hard game.
All right.
So
we did it. We reviewed every Final Fantasy.
Yay.
We did all of them.
8 and 12 are still 8 and 12 are still out there. And eventually 13, I suppose.
I'm not doing it.
I'm actually almost done 12.
Ah.
And I got the remastered for 12. I got the original for PS2, and I got the guidebook for 12.
Cool.
So
I beat 12 way back in college. I have no idea why I did.
12, I'm not looking forward to that final boss.
I beat the final boss literally just with Gil Toss. I just literally threw all my money at him and I beat him.
That's really funny. I don't want to fight. Take my money. All right, we're cool here.
I won't.
No more world domination plot for me.
I won't spoil anything for you. All I'm going to say is if you guys play 12 and you guys decide to beat 12, first of all, it's long as fuck, or can be long as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
But that final boss takes hours to beat.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Joey, didn't we play a good chunk of 12 and got bored of it?
I honestly don't remember, but
I
guess it's something we do.
Vaughn is the dumbest. Vaughn might be worse than Bartz.
Yeah, and he wasn't even supposed to be in the game.
Yeah, he was. Balthier, which is the one of the Sky Pirates you get.
I thought it was Bosch. I thought Bosch was supposed to be the main guy.
Maybe.
But then the marketing department at Square decided he was a bit too Western looking. They need a more pretty boy character as the main.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone can be like Kefka, all right?
Kefka is my favorite villain.
Yes, that is something I failed to mention. Kefka is my new favorite villain in all Final Fantasy ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot of people's favorite.
He is a legit evil guy.
He's the only person that just wants to kill for the sake of killing, and that's one thing I like about most of the villains in Final Fantasy. They don't kill just for the sake of killing. They kill because, and it's like every other superhero trope, they have the greater good in mind. But Kefka's just like, no, I'm kind of bored. I just want to kill everyone. So
Yeah, I just want to murder. Like, oh,
that's it.
I don't like you. I want to.
What's wrong
I
with
want to
that?
beat you.
Video games
He's-
cause violence.
He's that murder hobo in D&D with you guys when you have your one friend who plays chaotic evil. Welcome to my inn.
funny.
Stab, stab, stab. You know, like
Ow.
yeah, basically.
All right.
Word.
So we're
We
going to
did
leave off the cast with just everybody listing their top 3 Final Fantasy games, and we're out of here. Colin, I want you to go first.
Let me see. I mean, as far as number 1 is concerned, I'm really torn between 9 and 10. I mean, 9 pleasantly surprised me for a game I've never played before, but 10 still has heavy nostalgia and mechanics that still hold up. Although the writing can be a bit sloppy when you start thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I've actually beaten it. I think because I've actually beaten it, I'm going to go with 10, but that may very likely change the further I play into 9 because I fully intend on beating it after the cast.
9 will change your perspective on 10. I'm telling you.
So yeah, 9 will be a very close second to 10 for me for now. And for top 3, for my third one, I'll say 6.
Okay, I just want to interrupt really quickly. This is what Greyfather said. He busted out Dissidia for his PSP. And that's awesome because before the podcast, I was actually playing Dissidia for PS4.
I forgot there was a Dissidia for PS4.
Yeah, Dissidia NT. Super cool. You can play all the main villains and characters of every Final Fantasy.
I feel like
And then
everyone
fight.
forgot that game came out.
It's just, if you don't know, then you don't know.
Yeah,
So
what
what-
can you do?
I like the Dissidia on the PSP. I didn't like the... Joey,
Yeah.
in your vast, clearly
Well,
excellent
11 is
experience
superior.
in Final Fantasy games, what are your top 3?
Besides
you know,
11.
You know how many I've played, so I'm gonna have to go with Final Fantasy 11 as my favorite, and Final Fantasy 11 is my worst favorite too. It's the only one I've played. So.
Confirmed. The Final Fantasy 11 game.
It's the only game you should play, according to Joey.
Yes.
Hey, well, hopefully Final Fantasy 14 is good, or 9 is good because I downloaded that. So
9 is you're gonna like. I think you're gonna like 9.
I'm hoping so. Hopefully this.
You might
podcast
also hate
will
9. Who
let me
knows?
into the series.
Yeah.
So I
Clearly
could.
not going to be as good as 11. I mean, just the installation process alone is game of the year.
Yeah. So, I'm hoping 9 can live up to 11. I'm just saying it has
Fucking 10
has
out
big
of
shoes
10.
to fill.
What a game.
I'll go next. So before the podcast, and with my love for Final Fantasy, yet not finishing any of them, I got to the halfway point in quite a few now. My list has been jumbled now. It's so number 3 is Final Fantasy VIII, and that has a lot to do with Colin's reason with the whole nostalgia thing. But my 1 and 2 have shocked me. 2 is going to be 9, and 1 is going to be 6.
Fair enough.
I have beaten 7. I still don't like it as much as 8, just for what the game itself is. But 6 and 9 being so close to what I like about the games and how much the characters play in part and the gameplay itself, those 2 are 1, 2 of those 2. And I will be beating them both.
Nice.
Kevin, you are up.
Do we have? We're not just counting the ones we played, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna go 10, 6, 4.
In that order, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Any particular reason why?
10 is just a goddamn good game. 6.
Hell yeah.
6 I played recently, and that's when I was most story of. And then 4, that game took so many plot twists throughout, like, playing that game. I don't know, that one really engrossed me as well.
Not
So.
to mention, Kane and Cecil are badass themselves.
Kane is so cool. Even
Kane
though
is
he
awesome.
turns on you like 20 times, but whatever. Just I forgive him.
Kane's a dick.
I
but he's so
forgive
cool.
him. I forgive him. He's so cool.
And it coined the phrase "you spoony bard."
You spoony bard.
And 6, 4. And Josh.
Whoa, 6 and 4 make 10. Whoa.
Whoa!
Blew my mind, man.
Illuminati confirmed.
The Final Fantasy savant of the group, and his valiant return to the podcast. What are your top three?
Who the hell is he?
3 is going to have to be 7. Number 2 is going to have to be Final Fantasy 2. And let me do this again. 3 is going to be number 2. 2 is going to be number 9, and 1 is going to be number 8.
Wait, hold up. Can we use first, second, and third as opposed to numbers?
Third, 2, second, 9, first, 8.
Got it. Okay, way easier to understand now.
There you go. So we all like Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah, 6 is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, Great Fathers is 11, 7, and 10.
11, 7, 10.
Oh,
There you go.
He's
He's with you,
11th
Joey, and Final Fantasy 11 is the best of them all.
I mean, I can see why people like it.
Right.
I'm saying, like, I can see it's taking a lot of time to it, but
what I'll say to games played badly UK. I liked 15 up until about chapter 5, and then I was really let down.
Did you play
15.
Pocket Edition of 15?
I didn't play Pocket Edition.
I was gonna say, what's the difference?
Downed version on the Switch. I don't know.
Yeah, Pocket Edition.
Yeah, it should be everything. It's stupid, but for Final Fantasy 3 to Final Fantasy 6.
Well, now he's just getting on my bad side.
Well, I like 3 too. I like the challenge of 3, but the story for 6 is interesting. I mean,
3 is the worst Final Fantasy in my opinion.
Well, it's just because it's unnecessarily hard.
Yeah.
Oh, he still plays. Great Father still plays Final Fantasy 11 to this day.
yeah, I can see why people stick with it. It's just I don't see why anyone would want to start up on it.
Yeah. I don't include 11 and 14 only because, like I've said before, they're the online games, so I don't really add those. Otherwise, 14 would definitely be up there as well. I mean, I've played that game since the day it came out, so yeah.
Word.
All right, boys. This was a super fun cast. It went a little over time, but that's okay. This was the Red Leaf Retrocast episode 53, Final Fantasy. Hope everyone enjoyed. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye now.
I'm hungry.
Me too. I'm tired.
All right.